Hello guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the Maelstrom Hunter and got Harem? Part 3. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. Team RHFN, Team Archfiend, Dormitory. How exactly did you guys get to Remnant? Naruto asked. Well, Rashi started. Flashback start. Near the border of Earth Country and Waterfall Country. Rashi was running away from Iwa and the source of his sorrows. The 12-year-old boy ran as far as his legs could carry him. I was running away. Rashi said. From what? Naruto asked. From the lies I was fed by Iwa. Rashi replied. Stopping at a nearby rock, Rashi hunched over, panting as tears streamed down his eyes. He had been running from Iwagakure for 6 hours straight. He couldn't believe it. No, he could. But that didn't mean that the truth didn't hurt. Hours ago, he had overheard something that destroyed his trust with Itachi and his best friend. I was told by the Itachi that he didn't know my family. Rashi stated. But he was lying. Naruto said. He was in a similar situation back in Konoha. Yeah. Thinking back on the events that unfolded only hours ago, Rashi had found out about his family. They were all dead, but what really hurt was that the man he had trusted had lied to him from the start. I learned that my grandfather was the Yonbi's jinchuriki. I was named after him by my parents moments before he was killed. The Iwa Council, from what I found out, had felt as if my grandpa was becoming too old to be a useful weapon to Iwa and decided to extract the biju from him and seal it into a new container, Rashi said, but was unable to finish. And you were that container? Naruto concluded, Rashi nodding his head. Once word got out that I would be the next jinchuriki, my parents were hunted down so the demon would be killed while it was weakened. Minutes after my birth, my parents hid me with Itachi and left with a blanket concealing a child-sized rock. They were found lynched and surrounded by the same mob that was after my head. Nearly everything that connected me to them was destroyed, so that was all I was able to find out. The scene changes to show that Rashi was walking toward a tropical forest, nearly exiting the mountainous terrain that Rock Country was famed for. Something was compelling him to head towards the coast, but he couldn't figure out what. Suddenly, a kunai was thrown near him, a tag was attached and fizzing. He jumped back just in time to escape the blast radius. Looking around for the source of the kunai, he was greeted with the sight of 3 shinobi, each wearing an Iwagakure headband. The man on the left was wearing a red long-sleeved shirt, his left sleeve missing, a lapel on the side without a sleeve, dark gray shinobi pants, and the standard chiknin brown flak jacket. On the right was a woman wearing a dark red sleeveless shirt, gray shinobi pants, the chiknin brown flak jacket, and a dark red Iwagakure headband around her neck. And in the center was a man wearing dark sunglasses, a dark red long-sleeved shirt, a brown chiknin flak jacket, dark gray shinobi pants, and his black Iwagakure headband was tied around his left arm near his shoulder. I was near the border between Earth Country and Waterfall Country when the shinobi sent after me caught up. They would have taken me back too if it wasn't for some outside assistance. As the story continued, the scene changed to show Rashi barely standing in a devastated scenery with the 3 Iwagakure shinobi standing above him, said shinobi looking worse for wear, but better than Rashi's condition. As the shinobi in the middle raised his arm to knock out Rashi, a red blur knocked him away. Looking up, Rashi saw a large menacing figure standing over him. His savior was wearing red samurai armor along with a straw hat of the same pattern and had a horse tail. Han arrived just in time to save me from being captured by the village. Later on that day, we talked and agreed that Iwa wouldn't stop hunting us, so we had to go beyond their reach, beyond the elemental nations. Another scene change, surprise, self-sarcasm test complete, showed the 2 jinchuriki walking through a jungle-like terrain, only to come across gruesome sight. A familiar mint green-haired girl was found beaten near the side of their path. Rushing to her side, the 2 jinchuriki examined her wounds before helping her up. While we were walking through Waterfall Country, we must have ended up near Takigakure because along the way we found the last member of our little group, Fu. When we found her, she had been beaten by a mob of civilians. Rashi stated. I was weary of them at first because of past experiences, but I eventually came to trust them. When they told me of what they planned to do, I immediately asked to join them. Fu finished. The now trio of jinchuriki were now found falling asleep with a low campfire slowly burning out. Fu and Rashi were going to sleep while Han stayed awake and kept guard. As Rashi closed his eyes, he reopened them again, but he was no longer in the jungle terrain, no, he was standing on dark blue water, a deep black fog surrounding him. He jumped up and took a defensive position, preparing to fight whatever dragged him here, only to loosen up at the sound of a voice. Come closer, an ominous deep voice softly bellowed. Following the sound of the voice, Rashi came across a large dark gray stone platform. Standing on the platform was a giant red-furred green-skinned monkey. Its body build resembled that of a gorilla and had eyes with yellow irides and white pupils, spike-like protrusions along the length of 4 tails that came from its body, 2 long horns curved upward on its forehead, resembling a crown, and had 2 elongated fangs coming from its mouth. Both its fangs and horns were dark-tipped. One of the nights while we were traveling, I had entered my mindscape and met the biju sealed inside me. Rashi told Naruto. The Yonbi? Naruto asked, Rashi nodding his head. It prefers to go by the name Son Goku. Rashi added. So this is my latest jailer. Humph, my last jinchuriki was more impressive. Son Goku said. Where am I? How did I get here? Who are you? Rashi asked. Humph, I don't need to tell you anything. Son Goku sneered. After a few minutes, Rashi snapped his finger in realization. I know. You're the Yonbi. Rashi exclaimed. The name's Son Goku, remember it. Son Goku commanded more than said. Okay then. Can I just call you Son? Rashi said. No. Son Goku said. So Son, where am I? Rashi said. It's Son Goku, and we're in your mindscape. Son Goku said, irritated by Rashi's nickname for him. My mindscape? Rashi said in curiosity. He looked around left and right before staring back at Son Goku. I thought it would look a bit different. Flashback end. After that first initial meeting, we met a few times more. And eventually, we came to an agreement. I scratch his back, he scratches mine sort of deal, with the added benefit of becoming part monkey. Rashi said, a grin plastered on his face at that last statement. He's not the only one who made a deal with a biju. Han added, I made a deal with Kakuo that benefited us both. Channeling some of Kakuo's chakra, his body transformed. His hands and feet turned into white hooves, his single horse Fronis tail soon became 5, his torso becoming that of a horse, and his head resembling that of a white dolphin with 4 horns with light brown tips. All in all, he looked like a miniature version of Kakuo. Transforming back from his biju form, Han stretched a bit. Damn, always a stress on the joints. Han said as he finished stretching. My deal with Lucky 7 gave me these, Fu said, 6 insect wings and a tail sprouting from her body, in exchange for sharing my senses and some gambling every now and then. What about you? Rashi asked Naruto. How do you know if I even am a jinchuriki? Naruto countered. You didn't hide your presence very well when you came here. Rashi answered, Naruto throwing his hands up in defense. Fine, you win. I basically made the same deal with the QB like you did with Son Goku. Naruto said, pointing at Rashi, only difference is that I became a fox Fronis. Cool. Rashi said. The crew went back to prepping to sleep. So Rashi, Naruto started, said Monkey Fronis looking up, I hear that you're a prankster. You got that right. Rashi replied, puffing out his chest in pride, I was proclaimed the #1 prankster back in Iowa, the Red Monkey. He finished, causing Naruto to grin like a madman. Oh really? Well, you're looking at Konoha's #1 prankster, the Orange Fox. Naruto proclaimed, Rashi beginning to have a grin that matched Naruto's. That is very, very interesting, Rashi said. Neither of them spoke for half a minute, each devising a prank to pull on the other, causing Fu and Han to look at the 2 pranksters in fear. Soon enough, all 4 jinchuriki went to sleep, the 2 pranksters of the group deciding to prank the other the next day. Naruto's mindscape. Harem sighed at his host's antics. Before he could continue his train of thoughts, he felt his conscience being pulled into a different plane, a feeling he had not felt in a long time. The last time this happened was when Harem suddenly found himself in a small flat clearing with a light brown floor. Looking around, the ancient massive chakra saw 3 familiar beings and 4 fast asleep humans. The first was a red 4-tailed monkey, the second was a white 5-tailed horse with a dolphin-like face, and the third was a blue-armored kabutomushi with 7 tails, 6 of which resembled green insect wings. Naruto, Rashi, Han, and Fu were fast asleep on the floor, leaving the 4 biju awake. It's good to finally see you again after all these years, Kuruma-nai. The kabutomushi said. It certainly has been a long time since we last met, Jime, Kakuo, Son Goku. Kuruma said, so why are we here? We need to discuss the RWBY. Son Goku said, becoming serious. Surely you must have felt that disturbance, Nai-san. Kakuo said quietly. Indeed I did, but the RWBY's chakra felt different than before. More tainted. Kurama stated, his eyes narrowing slightly, but that's not what worries me. The biju finished, causing the 3 others to tense up. By now, I'm sure you all have sensed small fragments of it coming from these creatures the humans call Grim. Kuruma said. I did as well. Son Goku added. Same here. Kakuo quietly said. As much as I'd like it to not be true, we all have felt a small fragment of it inside these Grim. But how? Jime asked. I don't know, Jime, but if its presence is found even here, then we need to be on guard. Kuruma said. But what about the others? Kakuo quietly asked, worried about the other biju still in the elemental nations. Shukaku, Matatabi, Isobu, Seiken and Jayuki can handle what comes at them. Kuruma said. But what if they can't? Chimay countered. Then we will have to prepare for the worst, Kuruma said. Team RHFN, Archfiend Dormitory. The sun had just rose above the horizon, casting a scene of warm shades on the color spectrum. The grass still had traces of morning dew, as a gentle breeze made the grass sway slightly. Birds chirped every now and then, as the wildlife in the area began to awake from their slumber. Yes, if one were to look at the scenery in front of them, they would find that all seemed quiet and peace. Boom. Was the sound that came from the Team RHFN dormitory, shortly followed by the sound of a second explosion coming from the same source. 5 minutes earlier. The sun had just begun to rise. All was quiet as Team RHFN slumbered, that is, except for one. Rashi silently giggled at the prank he was about to pull on Naruto. As Naruto lied sleeping in his bed, Rashi had set up a series of non-lethal ninja wires that was rigged to release his trademark red paint that would be activated when Naruto rose from his bed. Still chuckling to himself, he quietly made his way back to his bed. Once he was at his bed, he grabbed a small pebble he kept hidden in his pillow and threw it at Naruto, effectively waking the blonde fox up. What the heck, Naruto said as he rose from his bed. Boom. The prank was activated as the blonde was splattered with the red monkey trademark red prank paint. Haha. I got you good. Rashi laughed, beginning to sit down on his own bed, and with that, I was infamous red monkey before he could finish his self-gloating, a second explosion went off, and Rashi suddenly found himself covered in orange fox trademark orange prank paint, effectively shocking the red-haired monkey. This caused Naruto to grin, only to disappear in a poof, further shocking the red monkey. The door to the team's room opened to reveal Naruto with his trademark fox-like grin plastered on his face. But Rashi tried to form words to comprehend what just happened. You really thought that you could get one over me? Please, you can't defeat the master. Naruto said with his grin becoming even larger, and with that, Konoha's infamous orange fox continues to hold the title of #1 prankster in all the world. Of Team Asuma, Guy and Kurenai, Pier 27, Water Country. The 9 members of Konoha 11 and the 2 root members had finally arrived at their destination. The morning mist was still present, giving the docks an eerie feeling. So tell me again why we're at this dock so early in the morning. Ino complained, being the most unadapted to waking up at this time of day. We need to leave behind as little a trail as possible. The more we stay in one area, the more likely our trail can be traced. Yamato explained, also, this is where we're supposed to meet our informant. Who exactly is this guy that we're supposed to meet? Kiba asked. Well, Yamato began, only to be interrupted. Caw. Caw. Yamato had been interrupted by a crow that was perched on one of the wooden posts. The crow itself looked to be old and had a small note attached to its foot, but other than that, nothing was out of the ordinary about this crow. Speak of the devil. This here is the informant. Yamato stated, the others minus I looking at him like he grew a second head. The crow Kiba questioned. Well, of course, we can't actually meet our informant lest we blow his cover. Yamato explained, getting a chorus of ahs from the confused 9. Grabbing the piece of paper attached to the crow's foot, he read the information that had been inscribed by their informant. Alright, find a nearby boat to use, we're going to need one. Of Team RHFN, Archfiend, and Team RWBY, Ruby. Pan and Fu along with the 4 members of Team RWBY stared in disbelief at the odd sight. Throughout the whole day, even with their classes, Naruto and Rashi had an all-out prank war, nearly everyone being caught in the crossfire. Which consisted of various exploding paints, snares, exploding waters, exploding drinks, exploding paper stacks. Pretty much everything had somehow been turned into an exploding object by these 2. Said individuals were currently in a strange predicament. Rashi was currently stuck to fly paper on the ceiling covered in orange paint, small pieces of paper, feathers, honey, scorch marks, baby powder, and itching powder. Naruto was hanging upside down from a snare trap covered in spots of red paint, scratches, scorch marks, itching powder, and feathers. Hi Ruby. Hi Yang. Naruto waved, despite being upside down, causing the 2 to have a sweat drop appear, while their other 2 teammates were still in disbelief. Do I even want to know how you 2 got into this situation? Fu asked, sighing at her teammates' antics. Nope. Was the unison reply that she got from the 2 pranksters. But Naruto retrieval team, Team Asuma, Guy, Kurenai, Oki no Okinit. Erg. Lee cried out, lying on the floor as the boat the team was in rocked back and forth. Tenten rolled her eyes at her teammates' antics. Seriously Lee? I thought you were fine with boats. Tenten said. No, I'm not. Lee groaned out as he felt his seasickness kicking in again. You didn't have a problem back when we traveled by boat through the land of tea. Niji pointed out. Our client Blurg gave Guy-sensei some medicine to give to me when we got on the boat. Lee replied, getting more nauseous by the minute. Both Tenten and Niji paled at the mention of the medicine their sensei gave Lee, catching the attention of one blonde gossiper. What happened that got you guys like this? Ino asked, the rest of the team listening in. Well, Tenten started, only to be cut off by her other teammate. No, don't Tenten. Niji exclaimed, putting his hand over Tenten's mouth, we all promised to never speak of that day again. It's, true Tenten. Lee said, what happened back then should never be spoken of again. But. Never, bleh, again. Both Niji and Lee exclaimed, Lee's seasickness affecting him halfway through the sentence. They had been out on the ocean for about 3 weeks now, finally surviving the last of the turbulent weather that acted as the natural boundary between the elemental nations and the unknown about 2 weeks ago. Had it not been for Yamato's ability to use the Mokuten, their ship would not have been able to sail as easily. How do we know if Naruto's even out here? Chaoji asked. Even though it's been 3 years since we last saw him, he still left a faint chakra trail. Niji stated, his Byakugan activated. After a minute of staring off into the distance, his eyes narrowed, Hinata doing the same. What do you see? Shikamaru asked. Prepare to throw the anchor, we're approaching land in about 50 kilometers. Niji said. As soon as they got closer to the newfound land, they noticed that there was a fishing ship anchored near the shore. It looked to be abandoned recently, as Niji and Hinata saw no one aboard with their eyes, but both were able to notice a recent chakra trail coming from the ship. With Itachi and Kisame. This has been so boring. Kisame complained to his stoic partner. The two having traversed quite a long distance despite having only set foot on land 3 days ago. Using Samehada, the Nukanen duo were able to trace the Kyuubi Jinchuriki's trail, only resting from exhaustion or chakra depletion. How far off are we from the Kyuubi Jinchuriki? Itachi asked after a minute of silence, causing Kisame to grin like a madman. Only a little bit farther. Kisame said, looking forward. Landing on the ground near the road, they saw a stone sign nearby. Welcome to Beacon Academy campus was written on the sign as the two continued their hunt. Of Team RHFN, Archfiend, Team RWBY, Ruby, and Team JNPR, Juniper. Here, we find the 3 teams talking, gossiping, just relaxing in their normal clothes, not that stiff school uniform that they had to wear during school hours. Ever since the teams were assigned, things had been eventful. First off, Naruto and Rashi's prank war, although not as hardcore as it was in the beginning, was still raging on, each getting more elaborate as the days went on. Second, there was the events where Cardin, leader of Team CRDL, Cardinal, had begun to bully some of his fellow students, picking on John and some Fronis in particular. This situation ended after his own attempt at a prank backfired and being the target of Naruto and Rashi's rare team-up pranks. Naruto was talking, well more like arguing, with Nora that ramen was better than sweets, eventually ending up in a stalemate. Said blonde shinobi was currently chatting with Ruby, both teens having a small blush on their faces. Suddenly Naruto felt a familiar presence nearing his location, one that was far from subtle and far from friendly. Hey guys, I gotta go do something. Catch you later. Naruto said, stopping in his tracks and walking away. You better not try setting up another prank for me. Rashi joked, causing Naruto to scoff. Please, if I was going to go prank you, you'd know by now that I'd have a better excuse. Naruto pointed out, well, see you guys later. Waving goodbye, Naruto watched as his friends walked away, feeling their presence going further and further away. Minutes passed, but eventually he jumped backwards just in time for the ground he once stood under to crack and be destroyed by a giant dark blue scale-like blade that smashed into the ground. Play Akatsuki theme. Ashigaki Kisame. Naruto stated, I always knew this day would come, I just hadn't pictured it so soon. Nice to see you too, brat. Kisame said, his madman-like grin present on his face. Pain. Nkakik no Jutsu, fire release. Grand fireball technique. A voice yelled from behind Naruto, said blonde jumping out of harm's way as a large fireball rushed past him. Suiton. Suiton no Jutsu, water release. Water bullet technique. Naruto called out as a torrent of water shot out of his mouth at its intended target, only for it to miss. Uchiha Itachi. Naruto said. HN. Itachi grunted. Now then, why don't you just be a good little jinchuriki and just come with us? Kisame said in an overly sweet voice. Unsealing his kubikurum, Naruto raised the blade in one hand and pointed it at Kisame. How about this instead? You guys try to capture me, I kick your asses, and then you leave me alone. Sound good? Naruto said. The 2 Akatsuki members said nothing, but prepared their respective jutsus. Suiton. Shuriken no Jutsu, water release. Water dragon bullet technique Suiton. Sukudan no Jutsu, water release. Water shark bullet technique. Itachi Kisame cried out as their technique shot towards Naruto. KSHM, beast-tearing palm. Naruto shouted as a visible wind slashed the two water jutsus coming at him in half vertically. As soon as the wind jutsu divided the water, Naruto took a deep breath and formed 7 hand signs. Katen. Karakenden, fire release. Fire dragon flame bullet. Finishing the last hand sign, Naruto shot out a large mass of flames that, like the name of the jutsu entails, took the form of a massive Chinese dragon that went for the 2 Akatsuki members. Kisame just smirked and brought Samehada up to block the incoming attack, only for the jutsu that was intended to hit them dissipated as it came near the scale-like blade, Naruto's eyes widening at the action. Crap. I forgot about that sword's ability. Naruto thought as he dodged a horizontal slash from Kisame's blade. Kisame swung the massive blade once again, only this time Naruto blocked the attack with his own sword. The 2 blades clashed against the other, both trying to overpower the other. Kisame looked at Naruto's blade that was pushing at his own and raised an eyebrow. CrimsonKyuubiSage? Kisame asked, his face held an amused smirk. Not exactly the original, but just as good. Maybe even better. Naruto replied as he grit his teeth, Kisame's sword slowly but surely overpowering his. Of Team RWBY, Ruby, Team JNPR, Juniper, Rashi, Han, and Fu. Boom. Was the resonating sound that permeated the air, putting the 11 students on edge. That sounded close by. Ren pointed out. We need to inform security. John stated. Alright, John, Nora, Purr, you guys inform security of this, the rest of us will investigate the explosions. Ruby said, getting nods of agreement from all. After being told what to do and where to go, John, Nora, and Purr went to campus's security, while Team RWBY and Ren went to their weapon lockers. The 3 members of Team RHFN went off in the direction of the explosion. With Naruto jumping back to get some distance between the shark-like man and his chakra-absorbing sword, Naruto formed the bird hand sign and took a large breath and filled his lungs with air for his next jutsu. Dawn. Kai Kajimkaki, wind release. Air bullets. Naruto cried out as 5 massive bullets of visible air shot out at Kisame. As expected, Samehada absorbed the chakra used for the wind jutsu, giving Naruto time to form a Kage Bunshin to charge at Kisame. Smirking, Kisame swung the massive blade at the clone, luckily the clone dodged a swipe and got inside of Kisame's guard. The clone started condensing the chakra that it had, smirking as it felt the appropriate level of chakra buildup being reached. Boom. The clone muttered, a smirk plastered on its face as the condensation of chakra was released in one suicidal explosion, also known as a Bunshin Daibakuha, clone-grade explosion, effectively injuring Kisame. With Kisame temporarily stunned at the moment, Naruto looked around for his partner in crime. Looking to his left, Naruto saw Itachi rapidly approaching, his Sharingan activated, and the 3 Tomo in each of the eyes spun counterclockwise at a rather fast pace. Inside the Dust Crow gained jutsu. Once again today, Naruto mentally cursed himself as he saw the surrounding area change from a destroyed courtyard to a dreamlike scenery. The illusion projected him up in the air in an inverse-colored forest with a lake underneath him. The sky and clouds took on a dark orange hue, the clouds being slightly darker than the color of the sky, and hundreds of crows flew around him crying out to distract his sense of sound. Damn it, again jutsu. Naruto muttered to himself, so you've come to capture me? Naruto asked, his voice seething in rage at the Uchiha. No, I didn't. I just came to talk to you. Itachi replied, his voice remaining indifferent. Like I'd ever trust you. Naruto countered, anger still present in his voice. You're already under my genjutsu. Itachi stated, his voice echoing from all sides. Damn it. Naruto yelled as he tried to swipe at the crows that circled him. As he swiped at the crows, they began to condense together to reveal Itachi floating near him, his expression remaining stoic. I'll say it again. Itachi's voice echoed, I just wanted to talk to you for a moment. Back outside of the Dust Crow genjutsu. Naruto's eyes widened for half a minute before he fell forward and hit the ground with a thud, the effects of Itachi's genjutsu effectively paralyzing him for the time being. Kisame, having finally recovered from Naruto's Bunshin Daibakuha, got up using Samehada to support himself. That brat sure did put up a fight, Kisame said as he got over his exhaustion. Chen. Itachi said. Now then, time to hack off a few limbs. I'm sure he won't mind. Kisame said, his smirk returning to his face. He raised Samehada up off the ground and swung in a downward slash at Naruto's barely conscious body. As the massive blade neared its target, a familiar scythe blocked the potentially fatal strike. Sorry, but I can't let you do that. Ruby exclaimed as she defended the near-unconscious form of Naruto, having just arrived at the source of the explosion sounds. Eventually pushing the large abnormal blade back, she pulled the trigger on her sniper side and shot out a sniper round. Kisame jumped back to avoid the potentially deadly projectile, but wasn't quick enough to not be injured as the bullet grazed his face, leaving a shallow wound. Ruby fired off more sniper rounds at the shark-like man, who evaded the bullets, having learned that these small, but fast, projectiles were as bad as wind-coated kunai. As he narrowly dodged a seventh bullet, he jumped back once again, only this time to dodge a punch from the blonde blur that was Yang. As Yang continued her assault, Kisame kept evading her punches. Jumping back, Kisame formed 10 hand signs as water condensed around his right hand. Suiton. Sukundan no Jutsu, water release. Water shark bullet technique. Kisame cried out as the condensation of water around his right hand took the form of a great white shark. Thrusting his water shark hand forward at Yang, said blonde girl used the momentum of firing her shotgun gauntlets to push herself out of the way of the incoming elemental attack. As the blonde sister of Yang was pushed back by Kisame's water shark, said Nukanen had to evade yet another strike, this time from Weiss's custom rapier. At the same time as Yang and Weiss were assaulting Kisame, Ren and Blake engaged Itachi in combat. Weaving in and out of Blake's assault with Gamble Shroud, katana form, Itachi brought up a kunai to block the 7th strike, his 3 Tomo Sharingan spinning rapidly. Jumping back, said Sharingan user evaded a strike from Ren's dual trench knife pistol hybrids. The duo continued their assault on the stoic Uchiha, every strike countered or evaded. I believe it's about time we wrap this up, don't you agree Itachi? Kisame said as he dodged Yang and Weiss's attacks. HN. Itachi said, replacing himself with a Kage Bunshin using a Kawarimi no Jutsu, body replacement technique, and muttered a familiar jutsu. Bunshin Daibakuha, clone grade explosion. Itachi's clone muttered, as less than a second later he exploded, sending the surprised Blake and Ren back to the ground. In the aftermath of the explosion, 3 familiar Fronis jumped near Ruby and now recovering Naruto. The 3 formed a sort of formation around the two as they got into fighting stances. Fuzik's insect wings and tail had sprouted from her back as she held her tonfa submachine guns in their gun forms, taking up a horn beetle kata. Han held his battle axe shotgun up in a mountain defense kata. And Rashi had both his gunblades drawn and was in his Seru Iwa kata. Well, this is certainly interesting, don't you think so Itachi? Kisame said, a smirk on his face as usual. HN. Was Itachi's response, we should report this to Leader Sama. Oh no you don't. Fu yelled as she charged at the 2 Nukanen, firing off bullets from her hybrid tonfas. Rashi formed 4 hand signs, before inhaling sharply. Imton. Shikuguriken no Jutsu, lava release. Scorching stream rock technique. Rashi called out as 5 globs of lava shot out of his mouth at Itachi and Kisame. Both Akatsuki members leapt away from the incoming projectiles, weaving in and out of lava bullets and lead bullets. As the criminal duo made their escape, Itachi turned his head to face the 6 students of Beacon Academy. His Sharingan morphing from its 3 Tomo to a red eye with 3 spiraling curves around the pupil. As his eyes changed into Manjikam Sharingan, blood came flowing down his face, originating from his eyes. Amaterasu, heavenly illumination. Itachi murmured quietly, but the 3 jinchuriki heard him speak. Han grabbed Naruto's unconscious body while Fu grabbed Ruby, both pulling their 2 friends out of the way as black flames covered the area they stood seconds ago. As the Beacon Academy students evaded the flames of the Amaterasu, the 2 Nukanen made their escape. By the time the 6 students had recovered from the attack, the Itachi and Kisame were long gone. Damn it. Rashi yelled out in frustration. How could they find us out here? Fu asked. Maybe we didn't cover up our trail as well as we thought. Han suggested. No, maybe someone else knew about this place. Rashi argued. Can someone tell me what just happened? Who were those people? Ruby asked. Akatsuki. Naruto mumbled. Ruby looked down at the injured blonde, those 2 they're part of an organization called Akatsuki. Aka what now? Yang asked, unsure of how the pronunciation was. It's Akatsuki. Rashi answered, last I heard, they were just a mercenary group that Iwagakure hired sometimes. No. You guys haven't been to the Elemental Nations in a while. Naruto said. Elemental Nations? Ren asked, I've never heard of this place. So what has the Akatsuki been up to since we left? Han asked ignoring Ren's question. They're in simplest terms a group of hunters. Naruto replied, specifically, they're hunting 9 specific people. Finishing his statement, the 3. Jinchuriki's eyes widened in shock. What? Why? Fu asked, slightly panicked at the news. I don't know. The only reason I know they're hunting us is because I encountered those 2 before I came to Remnant. If it weren't for Iro-Senin arriving to stop them I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be alive right now. Naruto answered. Okay, can someone please explain what's going on? What's this Elemental Nations and Iro-Seiyan thingies that you guys are talking about? Ruby asked, demanding to know what this whole problem was all about. I'll explain everything later, I promise. Naruto replied as he attempted to stand up. First things first, what are we going to do about these weird flames? Blake asked, motioning to the still burning black flames of the Amaterasu, heavenly illumination. Just pout some water on it, that'll douse the fire. Yang answered as she started walking to the nearest source of water. No, don't. Those are the flames of the Amaterasu, heavenly illumination, they won't stop burning for 7 days and 7 nights, or until they've consumed their target. Naruto explained, effectively stopping Yang from trying to douse the flames with water. Well then, what do we do about them? Weiss asked, slowly inching away from the black flames. I think I have something that can contain them, but I left it our team's room. Naruto replied. Where exactly did you leave it? Han asked. Next to my bed there's a small cabinet. It's an orange scroll, about 2/3 the size of my forearm. Naruto explained. Han nodded his head and leapt off to the dormitory, surprising Ruby, Weiss, Blake, Yang, and Ren. What the heck? Weiss exclaimed at the sight of Han leaping away like it was nothing. What kind of semblance was that? Better yet, what kind of semblances did we just see? Blake questioned. That wasn't a semblance. Rashi explained, that was chakra. Patra? Ruby asked. Chakra? It's the manifestation of the combination of one's physical and spiritual energy. Rashi answered, and with this combination, our energy can be manipulated into techniques that can take the form of different elements, like you just saw beforehand. But that kind of energy has never been recorded in Remnant. Weiss stated. That's because it was never from Remnant. Naruto said. I've got that scroll you wanted. Han said, having just returned from the dormitory. Handing the scroll to Naruto, said blonde jinchuriki unraveled the scroll. I never thought I would need to use one of these scrolls, but it pays to be prepared. Naruto said, having fully unraveled the scroll. What's a scroll with some scribbled lines supposed to do? Weiss questioned. Come in, fire sealing method. Naruto exclaimed as the black flames of the Amaterasu, heavenly illumination, were sucked into the empty circle section of the scroll, leaving no trace of the black flames, much to the shock of the 5 non-shinobi students. You were saying? Naruto sarcastically asked. Hey guys. A voice from behind them shouted. Turning around, the students saw John, Nora and Purah along with campus's security. What did we miss? 10 minutes later, Professor Osborn's office. So let me get this straight. You guys, Yang started, motioning to Fu, Han, Naruto, and Rashi, are from this place called the Elemental Countries. Elemental Nations. Rashi corrected. Right, the Elemental Nations, where you ran away from this group of people that are hunting you for something you have or know. Yang stated. It's not something we like to talk about. Han explained. Why not? Purah asked. Because back then, people where we came from feared us for something we had no control over. Fu replied, we all came here to escape prejudice like that. But what about those people who attacked you? Ruby asked Naruto. They're part of the group that is hunting us. Where we come from, there are certain ranks a shinobi would get to measure their strength, from ESS, E being the lowest and SS being the highest. Only one person has ever been labeled a SS shinobi. Naruto explained. Who would be that strong? Weiss asked. My father, Naruto mumbled, looking down at his feet, surprising the room's occupants. But what does this ranking system have to do with the people who attacked you? Ruby asked. Every single person in Akatsuki is an S-class Nukenin, which is the same as being a wanted criminal. Naruto finished, each and every one of them is extremely powerful in their own way and wanted for various crimes. What did those two do? Blake asked. Isam Hoshigaki, the blue-skinned guy that looks like a shark, is wanted for attempting to overthrow a government and for numerous assassinations. Naruto stated, and the other one Itachi Uchiha, he what? Yang asked abruptly. He's wanted for the massacre of the Uchiha clan, the only survivor being his own brother, Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto said grimly, causing the non-shinobi occupants of the room to gasp in shock. That's not our most pressing matter right now. Rashi said in a serious tone, Han and Fu nodding in agreement, the 4 of us came here to escape our past with the elemental nations. And now they found us. And? Weiss asked, unsure of what the monkey furnace's words were leading to. Now that we've been found, we have to go into hiding again. We have to leave Beacon Academy. Rashi said. Professor Osborn's office. What? Was the collective cry of the room's occupants, save for Fu, Han, Rashi, and Professor Osborn, the latter only raising an eyebrow. You all heard me. Rashi stated, Team RHFN, Archfiend, has to disappear. But why? Ruby asked in protest. If 2 Nukenin from the elemental nations can find us, it will only be a matter of time until more people find us. Rashi said, to them, we're just weapons to use at their beck and call, which is why we left in the first place. If we stay here instead of going into hiding, more shinobi will find us. And this academy will become a war zone for people trying to capture us. Fu finished, leaving the students and headmaster in silence as they contemplated the insect furnace girl's words. It was about a minute later that the silence was broken. "If I were to allow you four to leave, what would you do?" Ozpin asked, his voice remaining a neutral tone. "What? You can't really be considering this, Professor Ozpin, they're our friends," Yang protested. "It's not up to you. This is for them to decide." Ozpin countered, all eyes turning to the four jinchuriki. "I agree to going into hiding for the time being," Rashi said. "As do I," Han said. "Same here," Fu added, all eyes ending up on the blonde fox Fronis, as he appeared to be in deep thought. I agree," Naruto stated with a hesitance and sorrow in his voice. "More and more people will come after us, and I'm not willing to risk everyone else just for the sake of not being captured," and with that, the blonde jinchuriki shuffled out of the room, followed by his three teammates. After leaving the headmaster's office, Naruto's shuffling turned into walking, and eventually running. As he approached the entrance to the Emerald Forest, he pumped chakra into his feet and took off toward the cliffside. The sun had just begun to set, giving the sky a red-orange hue, as light reflected off the trees, giving them an emerald-like shine that the forest was named for. Said blonde was momentarily reminded of the events of his exile 3 years ago. He had finally come to have a peaceful life, good friends, ambitions, but now all that he had achieved from his time since he was exiled was for naught. Finally arriving at his destination, the blonde slumped onto the ground as tears streamed down his face, no longer able to hold back his sadness. Hit the QB started, feeling his container's sadness. "Damn it, even this far away from the elemental nations, I'm still one of their targets," Naruto thought. "Now what will I do?" "Naruto?" A feminine voice cried out from the distance. Turning around, Naruto saw the fast approaching form of Ruby coming towards him. "Hey Ruby," Naruto said, sadness laced in his voice. Ruby shot another bullet from Crescent Rose to get the momentum to be launched towards the blonde jinchuriki. Landing on the nearby ground, Ruby went over to Naruto. "I'm sorry, but it's for the best of everyone that I go away," Naruto said. "But what about you?" Ruby asked Naruto, said blonde being oddly quiet. I don't want anyone to get hurt because of me," Naruto said. The two stayed quiet after that, watching the sunset over the horizon. "Will I ever see you again?" Ruby asked. Naruto responded by giving a small smile and a thumbs up. "You can count on it, I promise." And Naruto Uzumaki never breaks his promises, Naruto said lightheartedly. The sun had just now finally fallen below the horizon, the sky's red-orange hue becoming a dark red-violet color. Ruby, knowing that Naruto would be gone for some time, felt herself becoming a bit bold. She leaned over to the blonde fox Fronis and gave him a small kiss on the lips. Time seemed to stop for the blonde as he was taken by surprise by Ruby's actions, but eventually he relaxed and began to kiss back. The kiss lasted for only a few seconds, but it felt like a blissful eternity for the two. When the kiss broke, both Naruto and Ruby had a small blush and a smile on their faces. "Come back in one piece," Ruby said. Naruto could only nod his head in agreement, dumbfounded at Ruby's actions, in a good way too. After a few minutes, Ruby got up and went back to the academy. The sky had turned dark, the only sources of light being the fractured moon and the stars above. Play Nagarabashi Shooting Star. For those who don't know it, this is the first Naruto Shippuden ending. CrimsonKyuubiSage. Ashitachi ga Harem Itadateru. Konoha no Hidatachi mitai nai. Samazama na Hikari wo Hanad. Naruto lied down on the grass and put his hands behind his head, using them as a makeshift pillow, as he stared up at the shining stars, pondering the day's events, specifically the kiss. Tsono naka de boku mo. Itoki wa kagade iten da. Miwo tajite kokoro nai chikao. Nagarabashi nai yum wo takushite. Ruby kissed him, her lips to him tasted like sweet strawberries. He may have gotten a whole lot smarter, but that didn't mean he wasn't still oblivious to feelings from the opposite gender. Koko wa Itsumo no kaun. Yake gami eru. Tsubaridai no u. Mukashi kara boku no takudaseki. But now that he thought about it, all those times that she had a blush on her face around him, the small hugs, laughing at his corny jokes and quips, their friends somehow finding ways for the two to be either close or alone together. Naomi ga ariba koko nai kurendezu. Ano koro no mama yum no tachuuta. Imada kanerezu nai irendezu. Bashikashite koko ga mu shuiten. Naruto then thought about his own feelings for Ruby. She loved him, but did he love her back? Nante yoen wo hate shimesu na hai moeru. Emo sono tabi nai amadasu. Nagarabashi wo sagashide ano hashizora. Taisana koro no negagoda wa. He was always felt his face warm slightly around her, indicating he blushed when she was around. Every time he looked at her, he felt his heartbeat faster. Every time she laughed, it made him smile. Every time they were alone or intimately close, she gave him butterflies. She loved him, but did he love her back? Ima mukashi mo kawaranai mama. Sora wo miyajiiba. Ashitachi ga hora mitadateru. Konoha no hidatachi mitai nai. Yes. Naruto thought, I do love her. Samazama na Hikari wo haned. Susu de Karaboku mo. Hidakiwa kagade iten da. Iwo tajite kakoro nai chikao. Girabashi na yum wo takushite. Song end, remember that this version is not the full original version, it's the one used in the anime. Standing back up, Naruto proceeded to pump chakra into his feet and leap off in the direction of Beacon Academy. When he got to the campus, it was eerily quiet, save for the sounds of the gentle breeze and a few nocturnal creatures. Naruto then proceeded to return to his team dormitory, being as quiet as possible as to not wake any of the other students. Reaching his room, he quietly opened the door to the side of his other 3 teammates packing up. Fu, Han, and Rashi all looked up from what they were doing to see who had entered their room. Seeing as it was Naruto, the 3 resumed packing all of their items. Naruto went over to his bed and pulled the top drawer of his bedside cabinet out, revealing 5 different scrolls. Grabbing 3 of the scrolls, the blonde fox Fronis tossed each of his teammates one of the scrolls. Grabbing the scrolls thrown at them, they each looked up to their team leader. Those 3 are spare empty sealing scrolls I made, hopefully you guys know how they work and find use of them. Naruto said, returning to packing all his unsealed items into one of the 2 remaining scrolls, the other scroll containing the black flames of the Amaterasu, heavenly illumination. Soon enough, all the members of Team RHFN, Archfiend, had packed their items and personal belongings and proceeded to head out the door one at a time. Rashi was the last person who was still in the room. As he walked through the doorway, the monkey Fronis paused and took one last look inside their dorm room. With a heavy sigh, Rashi left the room and closed the door. Beacon Academy main entrance. The 4 jinchuriki proceeded to the main entrance of Beacon Academy, the very same entrance that they walked through on their first day. The 4 Fronis stared at one another silently as if having a mental conversation. Minutes passed as the night continued on. So this is it, isn't it? Naruto said, breaking the silence that permeated the air. Actually, Fu, Han, and I are going to stick together. Watch each other's backs. Rashi stated, getting nods of agreement from Fu and Han. What are you going to do? Fu asked her blonde teammate. I think I'll take refuge in my summoning contract's realm. Naruto said, having heard of Mount Mamboku from the toads every now and then. You have a summoning contract? Rashi asked, is it with the foxes? No, I'm with the toads. Naruto answered, surprising the other 3, what made you think I had the fox summoning contract? Well, one of the perks of the deal with Sun was the ape summoning contract. Rashi said. I signed the beetle's summoning contract. Fu added. I'm aligned to the horse's summoning contract. Han stated. By the time I made my deal with the QB, I had already signed the toad summoning contract. Naruto said. Silence filled the air once more, lasting for over half an hour. Rashi, Han, and Fu. I guess this is goodbye. Rashi said to Naruto, offering up his hand raised in the form of a fist, to which Naruto returned the gesture by giving him a fist bump. This isn't goodbye, it's just see you later. Naruto said, a small smirk on his face. After saying their goodbyes, Naruto watched as his 3 teammates leapt off in an eastward direction. Once they were out of sight, Naruto bit down on his thumb hard enough to draw blood. Naruto did the boar, dog, bird, monkey, and ram hand signs in that order and threw his hand onto the ground. Uchiha no Jutsu, summoning technique. Naruto quietly called out as a puff of smoke covered the area. When the smoke cleared, a large orange toad with purple markings around his eyes, mouth and stomach. Yo Naruto. The large toad said. Hey Gamakichi, how's it going? Naruto said. This summoning seems a bit early considering the usual monthly summoning for news from Jiraiya. The now identified Gamakichi pointed out. Something came up. The Akatsuki have found me. Naruto said, his face becoming serious, Gamakichi's as well. You think now is a good time to visit Mount Mamboku? I'll have to inform the elders, it's up to them whether or not to allow you into our summoning realm. Gamakichi said, summon me back in about 5 minutes or so, give or take a couple of minutes. Naruto nodded his head, and with that, Gamakichi went back to his summoning's realm to discuss this with the elders. 10 minutes passed when suddenly Naruto felt himself being pulled into a different location. Disappearing with a poof sound and leaving a cloud of smoke, Naruto Uzumaki left Remnant. Mount Mamboku. With a poof of smoke, Naruto appeared on Mount Mamboku. The sun had just risen above the horizon, mountains and mushrooms of various sizes loomed overhead. Looking around, Naruto noticed a few toads of varying sizes walking hopping around. Before Naruto could continue taking in his surroundings, he was whacked on his head by a small cane-wielding green toad with white hair styled in somewhat of a mohawk, very thick eyebrows, and a small goatee wearing 2 capes, one high-collared, the other more simple. Ow! Naruto cried out, rubbing his head in pain. Naruto, it's good to see you boy. Fukasaku said, whacking Naruto over the head with his cane again. Then why are you hitting me? Naruto comically sobbed, only to get hit over the head a 3rd time. Because you haven't the slightest bit of heads up or so when coming to Mount Mamboku. Fukasaku replied. Ah. Stop whacking the boy over the head. Another voice called out. Why should I ma? The gaki needs a stern whack. Fukasaku, also known as Pa, yelled. That doesn't mean you have to whack him over the head 3 times. The now identified Shima, her ma, yelled. Soon enough, the elder toad couple got into a long, heated argument that lasted for nearly half an hour. Their argument would have continued had it not been for a very loud cough of attention from Gamakichi. Oh right. Welcome to Mount Mamboku. Pa said, I'm just gonna call Fukasaku Pa and Shima Ma from now on, and you came at a good time too. Ma was about to make breakfast. One horrid breakfast of various bugs later. Naruto appeared to be gagging on something, his skin was a slick pea green and had several new lumps of bruises that sat upon his head. With a shudder he fell onto the ground in a curled up fetal position. It wasn't that bad. Was it Pa? Ma asked. Well of course it was. You nearly burnt the bug casserole, Pa cried out. It wouldn't have been burnt if you didn't bring me to Kichi to get the boy. Ma countered. Please, not again. Naruto comically cried out, only for his exclamation to fall onto deaf ears. Well Kichi said it was urgent. Pa retorted. Why are we arguing again? Ma yelled. I don't know. Pa replied. Weren't you gonna tell the boy something? Ma yelled in an argumentative voice. I think so. Pa responded in an equally argumentative voice. What were you going to tell me? Naruto asked, both Ma and Pa turning to him. Oh right. Forgot you were here. Pa said, causing Naruto to face a fault at the statement. It took some convincing from Gamakichi and Ma, but we've come to an agreement. Which is? Naruto asked. We believe that it is time for you to learn to be a toad sage, to learn senjutsu. Pa replied, his expression turning serious. The Jiraiya and Tsunade anked elemental nation's coastal time. This Akatsuki leader is in a megacure, correct? Tsunade asked, downing another glass of sake. Yes. Jiraiya replied. But that place conducts thorough checks of anyone entering and exiting their territory, and they track how long visitors stay. Tsunade stated, just preparing for the joint Chunin exams is difficult each time because the village is so closed off to others. Doesn't seem like a place where the Akatsuki leader can move about freely. However, because security is so strict, they're able to keep other nations from learning about their internal affairs and hence keep a lid on any shame. Jiraiya explained. Shame? Tsunade inquired. It seems that land has seen much internal strife and the village itself has been split into 2. Jiraiya stated, word has it that the leader of one side is also the leader of Akatsuki. That land is surrounded by the 3 great nations of earth, wind and fire. Tsunade said, and from ages past, it has been the battleground of their conflicts. As a result, there has never been domestic stability and the number of refugees is continually on the rise. That is why I will infiltrate and verify the information we have gathered. Jiraiya said, then we can plan strategy. It's too dangerous to go alone. Tsunade exclaimed, concerned for the idiotic self-proclaimed super pervert. I am one of the legendary Sannin of Konoha. You know what that means as well. Jiraiya said, causing Tsunade to look away. I'm sorry that you always get the short end of the stick. Tsunade said, causing Jiraiya to laugh. What's with you? He asked, still laughing. I'm saying, you were supposed to be Hokage. The Sandaime Hokage always wanted you to be the next Utswan started but was cut off by Jiraiya. I was never cut out for that sort of thing. Being on my own suits me too well, Jiraiya stated. You regretted not being able to stop Orochimaru. So all that time, you were tracking his movements alone, isn't that right? Tsunade said. Jiraiya remained silent, thinking back on their fellow Sannin's death. He didn't die by Hunter Nin, nor did he die in combat, but Orochimaru had succumbed to the effects of his own jutsu, unable to find a suitable host to house his soul. I no longer need to do so. Jiraiya said, before a smile found its way onto his face, that means I get to release the sequel to my novel sooner. Fact is stranger than fiction, isn't it? Tsunade said, staring at a reflection in another glass of sake. Who would have imagined that Orochimaru would die? Tsunade said, remember how the 3 of us would go up against Sandaime Jiji and the flat-chested Tsunade has become the big-bosomed Hokage. Times are changing by the second. Jiraiya said, you were beautiful back then and now, you're a 50-something old granny. It pains me to see how all the memories of your lost friends and loved ones are stored inside that big freeze of yours. And you know, the number will continue to grow. Jiraiya finished, surprising Tsunade and downing another glass of sake. I guess I shouldn't wallow in sadness. My duty is to be a model for the next generation and to help them. For that, I'd happily give my life. Jiraiya stated, it's what makes us old folks cool, see? A few minutes later, after paying the tab for food and sake, we find the 2 remaining legendary Sannin in the alleyway outside the restaurant. Tsunade vomiting from too much sake, Jiraiya rubbing her back. "Your drinking habits are worse than mine, want to stop and rest somewhere?" Jiraiya asked, the duo moving from the alleyway to a park bench. Akatsuki the leader is capable of organizing a group so powerful, who knows how strong he may be. Tsunade questioned, "You'll be walking right into the enemy's territory." "Well then I should set out," Jiraiya said, getting up from the park bench. "I'm back alive," Tsunade said in a whisper, causing Jiraiya to look back at her in slight surprise. "If I lost you too, you'll cry for me? That'll make me happy," Jiraiya said in a cheerful tone, "but I doubt that it'll be like the time Dan died." "You idiot," Tsunade said. "Then how about making a bet with me?" Jiraiya asked, catching Tsunade's attention. "You bet that I will die. After all, you always lose," he said, leaving Tsunade's mouth agape in surprise. "But if I make it back alive," Jiraiya stated, his face turning serious before laughing, "Joking. I'm just joking. You know, I'm grateful to you. Rejection makes a man stronger," Jiraiya said, pulling out a copy of Icha Paradise. "In other words, you can't call yourself a real man unless you can laugh off stuff like that. Better yet, make a joke out of it." "So a man's duty is to be strong?" Tsunade questioned. "Kind of, and besides, men aren't the only ones who seek happiness," Jiraiya said coolly. Stop trying to act so cool. Without a woman, you guys can't be rejected," Tsunade said, causing Jiraiya to laugh. "That's so true," Jiraiya said, a short silence following after. "If anything happens, contact me through your toad. I'll rush over myself," Tsunade offered. "No need for that. You must not leave here. The village relies on you now," Jiraiya said. "There are other candidates for Hokage," Tsunade pointed out. "There can be no stability if the Hokage keeps changing. Right now, you're the only one who can be Hokage," Jiraiya stated. "There's Kakashi," Tsunade offered, "and eventually, there's also Naruto." Jiraiya chuckled a bit. "You're really sold on Naruto, aren't you?" Jiraiya asked. "Kakashi is too lazy and late for everything, and Naruto, I doubt that the council would even agree to letting him back into the shinobi ranks, let alone becoming Hokage. Although, I can understand your kid brother Nawaki, your sweetheart Dan, and Naruto too. I guess you could say they chase the same dream. Sure, Kakashi can step in. But Naruto will be near impossible," Jiraiya finished. "You still have high hopes for him too," Tsunade commented. "Yeah, I wonder how the Gaki's doing," Jiraiya said. "My intel on Akatsuki has shown they sent 2 of their members after him." "Do you think that he'll come back?" Tsunade asked. "I don't know. From his letters that I've gotten over the years, it seems as if he's happy wherever he is," Jiraiya replied. Their conversation continued until the sun had set. "One last warning," Jiraiya said, "beware of Root." "Yeah, I know," Tsunade replied. Jiraiya nodded his head and started walking away. "Ah, good then," Jiraiya said, walking in the direction of a Megakure. He raised his right hand up in a thumbs up. "Farewell," he said as he walked away, tears falling down Tsunade's eyes as she watched him walk away. Professor Osborn's office. "What?" was the collective cry of the room's occupants, save for Fu, Han, Rashi, and Professor Osborn, the latter only raising an eyebrow. "You all heard me," Rashi stated. "Team RHFN, Archfiend, has to disappear." "But why?" Ruby asked in protest. "If 2 Nukenin from the elemental nations can find us, it will only be a matter of time until more people find us," Rashi said. "To them, we're just weapons to use at their beck and call, which is why we left in the first place. If we stay here instead of going into hiding, more shinobi will find us. And this academy will become a war zone for people trying to capture us." Fu finished, leaving the students and headmaster in silence as they contemplated the insect frontis girl's words. It was about a minute later that the silence was broken. "If I were to allow you 4 to leave, what would you do?" Osborn asked, his voice remaining a neutral tone. "What? You can't really be considering this, Professor Osborn, they're our friends," Yang protested. "It's not up to you. This is for them to decide," Osborn countered, all eyes turning to the 4 jinchuriki. "I agree to going into hiding for the time being," Rashi said. "As do I," Han said. "Same here," Fu added, all eyes ending up on the blonde fox Frontis as he appeared to be in deep thought. I agree," Naruto stated with a hesitance and sorrow in his voice. "More and more people will come after us, and I'm not willing to risk everyone else just for the sake of not being captured." And with that, the blonde jinchuriki shuffled out of the room, followed by his 3 teammates. After leaving the headmaster's office, Naruto's shuffling turned into walking, and eventually running. As he approached the entrance to the Emerald Forest, he pumped chakra into his feet and took off toward the cliffside. The sun had just begun to set, giving the sky a red-orange hue as light reflected off the trees, giving them an emerald-like shine that the forest was named for. Said blonde was momentarily reminded of the events of his exile 3 years ago. He had finally come to have a peaceful life, good friends, ambitions, but now all that he had achieved from his time since he was exiled was for naught. Finally arriving at his destination, the blonde slumped onto the ground as tears streamed down his face, no longer able to hold back his sadness. Hit the QB started, feeling his container's sadness. Damn it, even this far away from the elemental nations, I'm still one of their targets. Naruto thought, now what will I do? Naruto. A feminine voice cried out from the distance. Turning around, Naruto saw the fast-approaching form of Ruby coming towards him. Hey Ruby. Naruto said, sadness laced in his voice. Ruby shot another bullet from Crescent Rose to get the momentum to be launched towards the blonde jinchuriki. Landing on the nearby ground, Ruby went over to Naruto. I'm sorry, but it's for the best of everyone that I go away. Naruto said. But what about you? Ruby asked Naruto, said blonde being oddly quiet. I don't want anyone to get hurt because of me. Naruto said. The two stayed quiet after that, watching the sunset over the horizon. Will I ever see you again? Ruby asked. Naruto responded by giving a small smile and a thumbs up. You can count on it, I promise. And Naruto Uzumaki never breaks his promises. Naruto said lightheartedly. The sun had just now finally fallen below the horizon, the sky's red-orange hue becoming a dark red-violet color. Ruby, knowing that Naruto would be gone for some time, felt herself becoming a bit bold. She leaned over to the blonde fox Franus and gave him a small kiss on the lips. Time seemed to stop for the blonde as he was taken by surprise by Ruby's actions, but eventually he relaxed and began to kiss back. The kiss lasted for only a few seconds, but it felt like a blissful eternity for the two. When the kiss broke, both Naruto and Ruby had a small blush and a smile on their faces. I'm back in one piece. Ruby said. Naruto could only nod his head in agreement, dumbfounded at Ruby's actions, in a good way too. After a few minutes, Ruby got up and went back to the academy. The sky had turned dark, the only sources of light being the fractured moon and the stars above. Playing the Garabashi shooting star for those who don't know it, this is the first Naruto Shippuden ending. NarutoxRWBY. Ashitachi ga hora mataditeru. Konohashi no Hidatachi mitai nai. Samazama na Hikari wo hanad. Naruto lied down on the grass and put his hands behind his head, using them as a makeshift pillow, as he stared up at the shining stars, pondering the day's events, specifically the kiss. Sono naka de boku mo. Itoki wa kagade iten da. Mi wo tajite kokoro nai chikao. The Garabashi na yum wo takushite. Ruby kissed him, her lips to him tasted like sweet strawberries. He may have gotten a whole lot smarter, but that didn't mean he wasn't still oblivious to feelings from the opposite gender. Koko wa Itsumo no kaun. Yakegami eru. Tsubaridai no u. Yukashi kara boku no takudaseki. But now that he thought about it, all those times that she had a blush on her face around him, the small hugs, laughing at his corny jokes and quips, their friends somehow finding ways for the two to be either close or alone together. Naomi ga ariba koko nai kurendezu. Ano koro no mamayum no tachuuda. Ima de kanerezu nai irendezu. Bashikashite koko gamu shuiten. Naruto then thought about his own feelings for Ruby. She loved him, but did he love her back? Nante yoen wo hate shimesu na hai moeru. Emo sono tabi nai amadasu. The Garabashi wo sagashide ano hashizora. Taisana koro no negagoda wa. He was always felt his face warm slightly around her, indicating he blushed when she was around. Every time he looked at her, he felt his heartbeat faster. Every time she laughed, it made him smile. Every time they were alone or intimately close, she gave him butterflies. She loved him, but did he love her back? Imam Yukashi mo kawaranai mama. Sora wo miyajiiba. Ashitachi ga hora mataditeru. Konohashi no Hidatachi mitai nai. Yes. Naruto thought, I do love her. Samazama na Hikari wo hanad. Susu dakara boku mo. Hidakiwa kagade iten da. Iwo tajite kokoro nai chikao. The Garabashi na yum wo takushite. Song end. Remember that this version is not the full original version, it's the one used in the anime. Standing back up, Naruto proceeded to pump chakra into his feet and leap off in the direction of Beacon Academy. When he got to the campus, it was eerily quiet, save for the sounds of the gentle breeze and a few nocturnal creatures. Naruto then proceeded to return to his team dormitory, being as quiet as possible as to not wake any of the other students. Reaching his room, he quietly opened the door to the side of his other three teammates packing up. Fu, Han, and Rashi all looked up from what they were doing to see who had entered their room. Seeing as it was Naruto, the three resumed packing all of their items. Naruto went over to his bed and pulled the top drawer of his bedside cabinet out, revealing 5 different scrolls. Grabbing 3 of the scrolls, the blonde fox Frontis tossed each of his teammates one of the scrolls. Grabbing the scrolls thrown at them, they each looked up to their team leader. "Those 3 are spare empty sealing scrolls I made, hopefully you guys know how they work and find use of them," Naruto said, returning to packing all his unsealed items into one of the 2 remaining scrolls, the other scroll containing the black flames of the Amaterasu, heavenly illumination. Soon enough, all the members of Team RHFN, Archfiend, had packed their items and personal belongings and proceeded to head out the door one at a time. Rashi was the last person who was still in the room. As he walked through the doorway, the monkey Frontis paused and took one last look inside their dorm room. With a heavy sigh, Rashi left the room and closed the door. Beacon Academy main entrance. The 4 jinchuriki proceeded to the main entrance of Beacon Academy, the very same entrance that they walked through on their first day. The 4 Frontis stared at one another silently as if having a mental conversation. Minutes passed as the night continued on. "So this is it, isn't it?" Naruto said, breaking the silence that permeated the air. "Actually, Fu, Han, and I are going to stick together. Watch each other's backs," Rashi stated, getting nods of agreement from Fu and Han. "What are you going to do?" Fu asked her blonde teammate. "I think I'll take refuge in my summoning contract's realm," Naruto said, having heard of Mount Mamboku from the toads every now and then. "You have a summoning contract?" Rashi asked, "Is it with the foxes?" "No, I'm with the toads," Naruto answered, surprising the other 3. "What made you think I had the fox summoning contract?" "Well, one of the perks of the deal with Sun was the ape summoning contract," Rashi said. "I signed the beetle's summoning contract," Fu added. "I'm aligned to the horse's summoning contract," Han stated. "By the time I made my deal with the QB, I had already signed the toad summoning contract," Naruto said. Silence filled the air once more, lasting for over half an hour. Rashi, Han, and Fu all turned to the east, preparing to leave. "I guess this is goodbye," Rashi said to Naruto, offering up his hand raised in the form of a fist, to which Naruto returned the gesture by giving him a "This isn't goodbye, it's just see you later," Naruto said, a small smirk on his face. After saying their goodbyes, Naruto watched as his 3 teammates leapt off in an eastward direction. Once they were out of sight, Naruto bit down on his thumb hard enough to draw blood. Naruto did the boar, dog, bird, monkey, and ram hand signs in that order and threw his hand onto the ground. "Uchiha no Jutsu, summoning technique," Naruto quietly called out as a puff of smoke covered the area. When the smoke cleared, a large orange toad with purple markings around his eyes, mouth and stomach. "Yo Naruto," the large toad said. "Hey Gamakichi, how's it going?" Naruto said. "This summoning seems a bit early considering the usual monthly summoning for news from Jiraiya," the now identified Gamakichi pointed out. "Something came up. The Akatsuki have found me," Naruto said, his face becoming serious, Gamakichi's as well. "You think now is a good time to visit Mount Mamboku?" "I'll have to inform the elders, it's up to them whether or not to allow you into our summoning realm," Gamakichi said, "Summon me back in about 5 minutes or so, give or take a couple of minutes." Naruto nodded his head, and with that, Gamakichi went back to his summoning's realm to discuss this with the elders. 10 minutes passed when suddenly Naruto felt himself being pulled into a different location. Disappearing with a poof sound and leaving a cloud of smoke, Naruto Uzumaki left Remnant. Mount Mamboku. With a poof of smoke, Naruto appeared on Mount Mamboku. The sun had just risen above the horizon, mountains and mushrooms of various sizes loomed overhead. Looking around, Naruto noticed a few toads of varying sizes walking hopping around. Before Naruto could continue taking in his surroundings, he was whacked on his head by a small cane-wielding green toad with white hair styled in somewhat of a mohawk, very thick eyebrows, and a small goatee wearing 2 capes, one high-collared, the other more simple. "Ow!" Naruto cried out, rubbing his head in pain. "Naruto, it's good to see you, boy," Fukasaku said, whacking Naruto over the head with his cane again. "Then why are you hitting me?" Naruto comically sobbed, only to get hit over the head a 3rd time. "Because you haven't the slightest bit of heads up or so when coming to Mount Mamboku," Fukasaku replied. "Ah. Stop whacking the boy over the head," another voice called out. "Why should I ma? The gaki needs a stern whack," Fukasaku, also known as Pa, yelled. "That doesn't mean you have to whack him over the head 3 times," the now identified Shima, her ma, yelled. Soon enough, the elder toad couple got into a long, heated argument that lasted for nearly half an hour. Their argument would have continued had it not been for a very loud cough of attention from Gamakichi. "Oh right. Welcome to Mount Mamboku," Pa said, "I'm just gonna call Fukasaku Pa and Shima Ma from now on, and you came at a good time too." Ma was about to make breakfast. One horrid breakfast of various bugs later. Naruto appeared to be gagging on something, his skin was a slick pea green and had several new lumps of bruises that sat upon his head. With a shudder he fell onto the ground in a curled up fetal position. It wasn't that bad. Was it, Pa? Ma asked. Well, of course it was. You nearly burnt the bug casserole, Pa cried out. It wouldn't have been burnt if you didn't bring me to Kichi to get the boy. Ma countered. Please, not again. Naruto comically cried out, only for his exclamation to fall onto deaf ears. Well, Kichi said it was urgent. Pa retorted. Why are we arguing again? Ma yelled. I don't know. Pa replied. Weren't you gonna tell the boy something? Ma yelled in an argumentative voice. I think so. Pa responded in an equally argumentative voice. What were you going to tell me? Naruto asked, both Ma and Pa turning to him. Oh right. Forgot you were here. Pa said, causing Naruto to face a fault at the statement. It took some convincing from Gamma, Kichi and Ma, but we've come to an agreement. Which is? Naruto asked. We believe that it is time for you to learn to be a Toad Sage, to learn Senjutsu. Pa replied, his expression turning serious. But Jiraiya and Tsunade anked elemental nation's coastal time. This Akatsuki leader is in a megacure, correct? Tsunade asked, downing another glass of sake. Yes. Jiraiya replied. But that place conducts thorough checks of anyone entering and exiting their territory, and they track how long visitors stay. Tsunade stated, just preparing for the joint Chunin exams is difficult each time because the village is so closed off to others. Doesn't seem like a place where the Akatsuki leader can move about freely. However, because security is so strict, they're able to keep other nations from learning about their internal affairs and hence keep a lid on any shame. Jiraiya explained. Shame? Tsunade inquired. It seems that land has seen much internal strife and the village itself has been split into two. Jiraiya stated, word has it that the leader of one side is also the leader of Akatsuki. That land is surrounded by the three great nations of earth, wind and fire. Tsunade said, and from ages past, it has been the battleground of their conflicts. As a result, there has never been domestic stability and the number of refugees is continually on the rise. That is why I will infiltrate and verify the information we have gathered. Jiraiya said, then we can plan strategy. It's too dangerous to go alone. Tsunade exclaimed, concerned for the idiotic self-proclaimed super pervert. I am one of the legendary Sannin of Konoha. You know what that means as well. Jiraiya said, causing Tsunade to look away. I'm sorry that you always get the short end of the stick. Tsunade said, causing Jiraiya to laugh. What's with you? He asked, still laughing. I'm saying, you were supposed to be Hokage. The Sandaime Hokage always wanted you to be the next Utswan started but was cut off by Jiraiya. I was never cut out for that sort of thing. Being on my own suits me too well, Jiraiya stated. You regretted not being able to stop Orochimaru. So all that time, you were tracking his movements alone, isn't that right? Tsunade said. Jiraiya remained silent, thinking back on their fellow Sannin's death. He didn't die by Hunter Nin, nor did he die in combat, but Orochimaru had succumbed to the effects of his own jutsu, unable to find a suitable host to house his soul. I no longer need to do so. Jiraiya said, before a smile found its way onto his face, that means I get to release the sequel to my novel sooner. Fact is stranger than fiction, isn't it? Tsunade said, staring at a reflection in another glass of sake. Who would have imagined that Orochimaru would die? Tsunade said, remember how the three of us would go up against Sandaime Jiji and the flat-chested Tsunade has become the big-bosomed Hokage. Times are changing by the second. Jiraiya said, you were beautiful back then and now, you're a 50-something old granny. It pains me to see how all the memories of your lost friends and loved ones are stored inside that big freeze of yours. And you know, the number will continue to grow. Jiraiya finished, surprising Tsunade and downing another glass of sake. I guess I shouldn't wallow in sadness. My duty is to be a model for the next generation and to help them. For that, I'd happily give my life. Jiraiya stated, it's what makes us old folks cool, see. A few minutes later, after paying the tab for food and sake, we find the two remaining legendary Sannin in the alleyway outside the restaurant. Tsunade vomiting from too much sake, Jiraiya rubbing her back. Your drinking habits are worse than mine. Want to stop and rest somewhere? Jiraiya asked, the duo moving from the alleyway to a park bench. Akatsuki the leader is capable of organizing a group so powerful, who knows how strong he may be. Tsunade questioned, you'll be walking right into the enemy's territory. Well then I should set out. Jiraiya said, getting up from the park bench. I'm back alive, Tsunade said in a whisper, causing Jiraiya to look back at her in slight surprise. If I lost you too, you'll cry for me? That'll make me happy. Jiraiya said in a cheerful tone, but I doubt that it'll be like the time Dan died. You idiot. Tsunade said. Then how about making a bet with me? Jiraiya asked, catching Tsunade's attention. You bet that I will die. After all, you always lose. he said, leaving Tsunade's mouth agape in surprise. But if I make it back alive, Jiraiya stated, his face turning serious before laughing, joking. I'm just joking. You know, I'm grateful to you. Rejection makes a man stronger. Jiraiya said, pulling out a copy of Icha Paradise. In other words, you can't call yourself a real man unless you can laugh off stuff like that. Better yet, make a joke out of it. So a man's duty is to be strong? Tsunade questioned. Kind of, and besides, men aren't the only ones who seek happiness. Jiraiya said coolly. Stop trying to act so cool. Without a woman, you guys can't be rejected. Tsunade said, causing Jiraiya to laugh. That's so true. Jiraiya said, a short silence following after. If anything happens, contact me through your toad. I'll rush over myself. Tsunade offered. No need for that. You must not leave here. The village relies on you now. Jiraiya said. There are other candidates for Hokage. Tsunade pointed out. There can be no stability if the Hokage keeps changing. Right now, you're the only one who can be Hokage. Jiraiya stated. There's Kakashi. Tsunade offered, and eventually, there's also Naruto. Jiraiya chuckled a bit. You're really sold on Naruto, aren't you? Jiraiya asked. Kakashi is too lazy and late for everything, and Naruto, I doubt that the council would even agree to letting him back into the shinobi ranks, let alone becoming Hokage. Although, I can understand your kid brother Nawaki, your sweetheart Dan, and Naruto too. I guess you could say they chased the same dream. Sure, Kakashi can step in. But Naruto will be near impossible. Jiraiya finished. You still have high hopes for him too, Tsunade commented. Yeah, I wonder how the Gaki's doing. Jiraiya said, my intel on Akatsuki has shown they sent 2 of their members after him. Do you think that he'll come back? Tsunade asked. I don't know. From his letters that I've gotten over the years, it seems as if he's happy wherever he is. Jiraiya replied. Their conversation continued until the sun had set. One last warning. Jiraiya said, beware of Root. Yeah, I know. Tsunade replied. Jiraiya nodded his head and started walking away. Ah, good then. Jiraiya said, walking in the direction of a Megakure. He raised his right hand up in a thumbs up, farewell. He said as he walked away, tears falling down Tsunade's eyes as she watched him walk away. But Rashi, Han, and Fu. Rashi, Han, and Fu leapt from the tree branch they were currently on as they continued forward with their journey. When they had first arrived in Remnant, the thought of people being sent to retrieve them had crossed their minds. Over 4 years ago, the 3 jinchuriki had agreed that should their current location be found by Iwa, Taki, or any other shinobis that they would go into hiding. And during their first year in Remnant, they had set up or commandeered certain locations and buildings that they had designated to be safe houses. With their closest safe house being 500 kilometers south by southeast of Beacon Academy, the 3 continued on their path toward Safe House Foxtrot, being careful to avoid the nearby Grim as they jumped from branch to branch. With Naruto Retrieval Team, Team Asuma, Guy, and Kurenai. The 11 Konoha shinobi leaped from tree branch to tree branch, following the very faint chakra trail that Naruto had left, heading northeast following Neji, Hinata, Shino, and Kiba, those 4 being the only ones able to pick up on Naruto's trail. How much farther? Choji asked. About 300. Neji started before his eyes widened. What is it? Tenten asked, noticing Neji's startled revelation. There are 3 large chakra signatures headed our way. Neji exclaimed. I'm also sensing secondary chakra signatures alongside those 3. Hinata stated. Jinchuriki? Out here? Yamato questioned. It could be possible. Sai said, then again, it may not. But we should prepare for the worst. Sai is right. Yamato agreed, it is likely that we will cross paths with whoever these people are, so it's best that we prepare for anything. Getting nods of agreement, the 11 members began to prepare themselves for this inevitable encounter. With Rashi, Han, and Fu. The 3 continued their journey to Safe House Foxtrot, focusing mainly on the trail ahead of them. Nichi, Infant. Karuto, Colt. Imchk, Larvae. Son Goku, Kakuo, and Chimei exclaimed, catching the attention of their hosts. What is it, son? Kakuo. Lucky 7. Rashi, Han, and Fu asked individually. There's a group of 11 chakra signatures headed this way. The 3 biju exclaimed, about 80 kilometers to your right. Eyes. Rashi said. I know. The 2 other jinchuriki said in unison, all 3 preparing to fight. Rashi pulled one of his gun knife hybrids out of its holster, Han grabbed his Warwick shotgun off of his back, and Fu pulled out both of her tonfa submachine guns in their tonfa form and manifesting her 6 insect wings and tail. With Naruto Retrieval Team, Team Asuma, Guy, and Kurenai. The members of the Naruto Retrieval Team, according to their 4 trackers, were coming closer and closer to the 3 chakra signatures. 48-44 Neji mumbled, continuing his countdown for about 5 more minutes, 10-7-4-2. Finishing his countdown, the 11 Konoha shinobi stumbled across 3 individuals, all 3 having some unique animal-like trait. Rashi, Han, and Fu beepized the 11 shinobi in front of them, the Konoha shinobi doing the same to the 3 jinchuriki. Konoha shinobi? Han questioned quietly, only loud enough for the 2 people next to him to hear, having recognized the leaf-like symbol on their headbands. They're probably after Naruto. Fu softly replied. Who are you guys? Kiba asked out loud. Refugees, who are you guys? Rashi replied. Where Kiba started, only to be hit over the side of his head by his Hyuga teammate. Looking back at Hinata, he noticed that she had a look in her eyes that said shut up right now. We're searching for a friend of ours. Shikamaru said, his name is Naruto, do you by any chance know him? Finishing his question, Shikamaru noticed how the 3 of them tensed up slightly, the mint green-haired girl slightly more so than the other 2. No. No, we haven't. Rashi replied quickly, causing Shikamaru's eyes to narrow. You're lying. He pointed out, performing the necessary hand signs for the Kage no Jutsu, shadow imitation technique. Now you know. Shikamaru called out, having caught the 3 Fronis in his jutsu. Nodding in response to Shikamaru, the blonde did the hand signs for the Shintenshin no Jutsu, mind-body switch technique. Finishing the last hand sign, the blonde Kunoichi slumped over as the jutsu transferred her mind into Fu. Searching through the mint green-haired girl's consciousness, Ino began searching her memories for anything related to Naruto. Flashback start. Emerald Forest. Yo. A voice behind Fu yelled, turning around, she saw a blonde-haired teen with 3 whisker marks, fox ears, and a tail waving lazily at her. Hey. Aren't you the guy who had the motion sickness? Fu questioned, making the blonde fox Fronis face a fault. At least I didn't throw up. The blonde fox Fronis countered. So, the blonde started, attempting to change the subject, I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Nice to meet you, she said, I'm Fu. Likewise. Flashback end. Before Ino could continue searching through Fu's memories, she felt a presence pushing her out of the girl's mind. Before she was fully pushed out of Fu's mind, she saw a giant beetle with 6 wings and a tail. Sorry, but there is no vacancy at this time. The beetle cried out, kicking Ino out of Fu's mind. Having returned to her body, Ino let out a gasp as the information set in. Naruto's here. Ino exclaimed, I wasn't able to get a location though. The 10 other members' expressions became a mixture of surprise and of victory. Momentarily distracted, the 3 jinchuriki sent out a pulse of demonic chakra, breaking the Kage no Jutsu, shadow imitation technique. Forming 4 hand signs, Rashi took a sharp breath. Imton. Shikuguriken no Jutsu, lava release. Scorching stream rock technique. Rashi cried out, expelling large globs of lava that rapidly solidified into large projectiles. Yamato performed the rat, dog, and tiger hand signs in that order in response. Mokuton. Makajimiki, wood release. Wood locking wall. He cried out as wooden pillars sprouted from the ground to form a dome-shaped shield, just in time to block the globs of lava that were shot at them. As the wooden pillars sank back into the ground, the Konoha shinobi noticed the retreating forms of Rashi, Han, and Fu. The 11 shinobi leapt after the 3 in pursuit, seeing as those 3 were their most recent lead on Naruto. Following the 3 to nearby clearing, the Konoha shinobi noticed that they stopped in the middle of the clearing. Well, Rashi started, his back, along with Han and Fu's, turned to the Konoha shinobi, this is where we part ways. Have fun with the beels. And with that, the 3 jinchuriki jumped away. The Konoha shinobi were about to pursue, but an animal-like growl was heard from behind them. Turning around, the 11 shinobi noticed the 4 large menacing wolf-like creatures looming over them. Dodging the swipe of one of the creature's claws, the 11 members of the Naruto retrieval team scattered as to avoid the incoming attack. Aki KKSHM, a trigrams vacuum palm. Hinata and Neji cried out, sending bursts of air at the large grim, barely making a scratch on the surface of their fur, causing the 2 Hyuga clan members to have their eyes widen in shock. Yamato used his Mokuton, wood release, to restrain 2 of the grim, Choji used his clan's jutsu expand his hand and swipe away the 3rd Beowulf, and Sai sent his ink animals to assist Neji and Hinata. We have to retreat. Shikamaru yelled. What? But Kiba started. Kiba, a tactical retreat seems to be the most logical decision right now. Shino interrupted. Fine. Kiba finally conceded. With everyone in agreement, the 11 shinobi leapt into the trees to evade the Beowulfs. Mount Mamboku. Naruto was in a meditative pose, his face slightly scrunched together as he concentrated on his senjutsu training. Currently, his training was going along smoothly, having only nearly transformed into a toad statue on at least 17 different occasions. Following Pa's instructions, Naruto soon felt the natural energy around him and attempted to pull this energy into his own body. His features began to morph into more toad-like features as his face scrunched up more. Whack. was the resonating sound of Pa's cane hitting Naruto's skull, causing the blonde fox furnace to fall over. Ow. Naruto complained as he rubbed his comically bruised head. You're doing it wrong. You can't force it into your body. Pa exclaimed. Alright. Geez. Naruto said, resuming the task at hand. Returning to his meditative state, instead of tensing up and trying to force the surrounding energy in, he let his body relax. He began to feel the natural energy flow into his body as he felt relaxed and at peace. Whack. Again, the sound of Pa's cane comically hitting Naruto upside his head resonated throughout the land. Ow. Naruto exclaimed once more. You can't lose focus less you want to be a toad statue. Pa yelled. That's enough for now. Ma exclaimed, walking, hopping. Towards Pa and Naruto, lunch is ready. That statement caused Naruto to pale slightly at the mention of Ma's cooking, which consisted of various bugs both dead and alive. At the outskirts of Omegakure, Jiraiya was sneaking through the urban terrain as rain poured non-stop, occasionally having to hide or conceal himself from random AIM shinobi patrols. Along the way he had encountered 2 AIM shinobi, one of which had been sent to Konoha to have a nice and friendly chat with Ibiki Marino, whilst the other he had used as a guide through Omegakure up until a few minutes ago, his guide unwilling and unable to proceed any further. Continuing down the long corridor, Jiraiya momentarily stopped walking. Paper began to fly around him circling the area in front of him as the small pieces of paper began to connect, forming a body-like shape. The connected paper soon began to have color on it, taking the form of a woman with short blue hair, amber eyes, lavender eyeshadow, elaborate piercing, a large light blue paper flower was worn in her hair, and a stoic expression was plastered on her face. The bottom half of her body was still paper, while the top half had the Akatsuki cloak. Hello, sensei, the woman said, her expression remaining neutral. Honen, Jiraiya said, shock evident in his voice. Omegakure. Honen, Jiraiya said, a small smirk appearing on his face, you've honed your jutsu magnificently. But even more, you've become quite a catch. Konan showed no reaction to the words of her old sensei. I thought you had died instead, you turned into a flimsy sheet of paper. Jiraiya's face turned serious, who is Pain? It's none of your business, sensei. Konan replied, her body levitating upward as paper gathered around her and took the form of a pair of wings. And that makes you an angel, Jiraiya asked, does putting on an act like that have its benefits? I have received orders from our god. I will kill you. Konan said. Using her paper wings, Konan shot out paper at her former sensei, which was met halfway with a large stream of fire Jiraiya shot out. Konan's paper barrage eventually overpowered Jiraiya's fireball, and the self-proclaimed super pervert strafed right and shot out oil. A maiden, toad oil bullet. Jiraiya called out as a stream of oil shot from his mouth at Konan, effectively covering her in toad oil. Forming the snake hand sign, Jiraiya's hair extended to Konan and wrapped around her body. And spread your wings with all that oil, can you? Jiraiya stated, you used to love origami, and you were the kindest among the 3 kids. What became of the other 2? Nagato and Yahiko? He asked, reminiscing on his other 2 former students. I heard they had died. Were they just rumors too? The question caused Konan to slightly narrow her eyes. I see, so this Pain is one of them, eh? Jiraiya concluded. What's your purpose? Appearing before us after all these years, Konan asked. That wasn't my intention. If you all hadn't been part of the Akatsuki, Jiraiya stated, I heard that you had eyes. I never expected this. I bet now you're thinking you should have done what that Orochimaru suggested back then, Konan said, causing Jiraiya to reminisce back to when he first met the trio. You saved us instead. But it's too late now. We've embraced his ideology and made our move. I don't regret letting you live at all. Jiraiya said, but I'm so disappointed. I taught you ninjutsu to enable you to live through those harsh times. You were all, without a doubt, my students. The world may still be a cruel place, but to attack me without a greeting, this is so sad. He stated, for a few years after that time, I heard your names mentioned. You had made a reputation for yourselves in a few confrontations, but I heard later that you had died. You know nothing about what happened to us afterwards. Konan said quietly. No, I don't. But why the Akatsuki? Jiraiya asked, what the Akatsuki is doing is wrong. That is the decision I've made, Jiraiya-sensei. Another, more masculine voice said. Looking up, Jiraiya saw a man with orange hair held in a high ponytail, multiple black piercings, and a pair of Rinnegan eyes. You look very different. But those eyes, Jiraiya stated, so you were Pain Nagato. It seems you've strayed off the path of good. What happened? You don't need to know. After all, you are an outsider. Chikishim, animal path, Pain said. You've changed, Nagato. Jiraiya said. Chikishim, animal path, Pain formed one hand sign. Uchiha no jutsu, summoning technique. He said, summoning forth a giant shellfish with black rod piercings. Said giant shellfish shot out a torrent of foam at Jiraiya, causing him to release Conan to dodge the attack. Whoa. Jiraiya exclaimed, narrowly dodging the blast, using chakra to stick to the wall. Foam. Leave it to my student to know my weakness. Jiraiya thought, he intends to wash away the oil. Conan levitated out of the foam, her body now complete with a few outlines of paper and cleansed of toad oil. Conan, stay back. Chikishim, animal path, Pain said, dispelling his summon, only for that same summoning beast to be resummoned beneath Jiraiya. The giant shellfish leapt out of the foam at Jiraiya. Banjushigami no Jutsu, Wild Lion's main technique. Jiraiya yelled out after forming the snake hand sign, his hair expanding and entrapping the giant shellfish. Pushing the shellfish back, the summoning beast dispelled itself. A large mane of white hair with a mouth shot out of the smoke at Chikishim, animal path Pain, ensnaring the Rinnegan-wielding walking corpse. Nagato, I want to ask you a few things. Jiraiya said, what happened to Yahiko? Oh yeah, there was such a guy, wasn't there? Chikishim, animal path Pain said, causing Jiraiya's eyes to narrow, he died a long time ago. Nagato, you, what happened to you? The old you wouldn't, Jiraiya said. Nothing, just war. Chikishim, animal path Pain said, too many people die here. That pain made me grow up. What do you mean? Jiraiya asked. Even a stupid foolish kid will grow up when he learns what pain is. Chikishim, animal path Pain said, knowing pain controls one's words and thoughts. But abandoning one's love for a friend. Is that what it means to become an adult? Jiraiya questioned. Sensei, you are still just a man. However, through this never-ending pain, I have matured and become even more than a man. Chikishim, animal path Pain said. What? Jiraiya questioned. Yes, from a man to a god. Chikishim, animal path Pain stated, when one becomes a god, your words and thoughts become absolute. Sensei, since you are human, it can't be helped if you don't understand what I'm saying. Have you become that twisted? Jiraiya asked. Things I couldn't see when I was human are clear to me now that I am a god. Chikishim, animal path Pain said, and being a god, I realize that there are things I can do which man cannot. To put it simply, evolving beyond man. Just what are you planning to do? Jiraiya questioned. I am going to put an end to this senseless war-torn world. That is a god's work. Chikishim, animal path Pain stated. If that is your purpose, why are you gathering biju? Jiraiya asked. You are going to die anyway. So I shall tell you the true purpose. Chikishim, animal path Pain stated, I will use the sealed biju to develop a new kinjutsu. With just one such jutsu, a large nation can be destroyed instantaneously. It will be the most powerful, the ultimate kinjutsu weapon. How will making such a thing end the fighting? Jiraiya questioned, pointing accusingly at Chikishim, animal path Pain, won't it simply intensify the conflicts? There are disputes throughout the nations. How would you put a quick end to them all, Jiraiya sensei? Chikishim, animal path Pain countered. That is my question to you. Answer me. Jiraiya yelled. You give each warring nation a kinjutsu weapon. Once they possess such a power, they are bound to use it. Chikishim, animal path Pain replied. What do you mean? Jiraiya asked. Tens of millions will die instantly and people will become scared. Chikishim, animal path Pain said, people and nations will learn what pain is. That fear will breed a strong aversion to war and the fighting will end. It can be said that this world is still in the process of growing and stabilizing. Pain will make the world mature in the same way that I matured. In order for the world to grow up and become wiser, a god's hand is necessary. The world is still a child. Teach the world pain in order to make it grow up. Do you believe that is your work? Jiraiya questioned. Yes, because I am the god of peace. Chikishim, animal path Pain proclaimed. You've gotten good at telling jokes, Nagato. Jiraiya said, a smirk present on his face. Joke? I'm not joking. Chikishim, animal path Pain said, my ideal is. Before he could finish, a poof of smoke appeared where Chikishim, animal path Pain was. When the smoke cleared, a log was in place of Chikishim, animal path Pain. Over here, sensei. Chikishim, animal path Pain called out, looking at the source of the voice. Jiraiya noticed Chikishim, animal path Pain's location. Is that your next summoning? Jiraiya questioned, his hair receding back into its original length. To me, you are a small existence which never matured. Chikishim, animal path Pain said as the smoke cleared to reveal a giant chameleon with one Rinnegan eye, the other eye bandaged, and giant black piercing rods protruding from its body. His statement caused Jiraiya to laugh as he jumped towards Chikishim, animal path Pain. Uchiha no Jutsu, summoning technique. Jiraiya called out as his form was covered in a large veil of smoke, a kid treating me like a kid. Well, I'm no longer human either. These tears of blood, overflowing with rage. I went from the Sannin to Sage. The monstrous toad of Mount Mamboku. Jiraiya exclaimed, striking a pose, I am Master Jiraiya. He started, only to fall over as Gamaken, the giant toad he summoned, stood up, making his fall look very comical. You haven't matured at all, you're just as clumsy as before. Chikishim, Animal Path, Pain pointed out. Hey. Gamaken-san. Don't jostle around during my juncture. Jiraiya complained, the smoke clearing to reveal a large dark red toad with black markings, wearing a black kimono and fishnet shirt, wielding a circular shield and a sasamata. I'm kind of clumsy, Gamaken said. Against this foe, there shall be no playing by ear. I'm coming at you with full force. Jiraiya exclaimed, biting down on his hand strong enough to draw blood, made two curved lines from his eyes to the side of his face, and clapped his hands together. Chikishim, Animal Path, Pain jumped onto the chameleon summon's tongue. I'm using the honored sage mode. Jiraiya proclaimed. What? You don't mean, Gamaken quietly exclaimed. Yes indeed. I'm summoning the two great sages. Jiraiya said, however, it's going to take some time to summon the two of them. And I cannot release my hands during that time. I'm counting on you. Buy me some time until then. Alright. Clumsy as I am, I shall try. Gamaken said. Seconds later, the chameleon summon activated its camouflage and disappeared. He vanished. What a bother, where in the world did he find such a creature? Jiraiya asked, now that he's made himself invisible, we've got to use barrier battle arts. He's a hard one to battle. Gamaken said. Jumping up, Jiraiya tapped twice with his jetta and whipped his hair in a circular motion, causing a light green sphere of light to expand from his body. Hikishim, Animal Path, Pain looked down at Jiraiya from his hiding spot, taking notice of the barrier Jiraiya was forming. As I recall, this is a barrier ninjutsu that senses and alerts any intrusion across its boundary. Chikishim, Animal Path, Pain said, in that case. Looking around for his target, Jiraiya heard the sound of a poof of smoke. Looking above him, he noticed a three-headed dog-like creature charging at him. He saw the barrier and switched to a strong offensive critter. Jiraiya exclaimed, Gamaken-san. Right. Clumsy as I am, here we go. Gamaken said, holstering his shield onto his back and leaping at the three-headed summoning beast. Gamaken leaped closer and closer to the three-headed summon, thrusting his sasamata at the creature, effectively pinning it to the nearby wall, the creature struggling against its restraints. You're quite skled. Jiraiya said to Gamaken. Not at all, I am clumsy. Gamaken replied. Suddenly, the three-headed beast split into three different beasts, each with one head. Leaving one to be pinned by Gamaken's sasamata while the other two charged at the giant toad. The one pinned by the sasamata became small enough to escape its trapped state, reversing its head so that instead of being on its back, it was laying flat on its stomach and then split into two other beasts. What is this? Jiraiya exclaimed, shocked at seeing the three-headed beast he was fighting split into three smaller beasts. His shock was short-lived as Gamaken had to jump out of the way of one of the beasts. Leaping from his spot, Gamaken reached for his sasamata. He was able to grab the weapon to defend himself, but was injured in the process by one of the strange summoning beasts. Gamaken jumped away once more to dodge an attempted attack from one of the beasts, but was assaulted once more by three of those beasts after landing, the shield on his back taking most of the attack. Leaping away once more, Gamaken threw the shield off his back and wrapped around a length of pipes, leaving him dangling for a second before pushing himself onto a nearby wall. Pulling his shield back from where it was dangling, Gamaken defended himself from the onslaught of summoning beasts just in time. Suddenly four of the beasts merged together, creating a four-headed version of the summoning beast that lunged at Gamaken. Thrusting his sasamata at the beast, the strange beast was split back into four as an explosion of smoke ensued. Gamaken jumped out of the explosion, four of the beasts following soon after. Gamaken soon attacked the four beasts individually, each dispelling in a puff of smoke. A duo of man and toad soon escaped their assaulters, destroying parts of the areas around them in the process. Are you okay, Gamaken-san? Jiraiya asked, you think you could do this a bit smoother? But I am clumsy, Gamaken said as he slowly lost his grip on the pipes he was holding onto. They seem to multiply each time you clobber them, I don't even have a clue what it is. Jiraiya stated, part of the smoke clearing to reveal the strange summoning beast, only with 10 heads. Are the doggies bound to a self-replicating Uchiha's no jutsu, summoning technique? In any case, we'd better move from this spot. We'll kill one dog at a time. Let's lure them into a small space. Right. Gamaken said as the pipe he was holding on to fell, Jiraiya noticing the outline of a giant chameleon. After his feet met the nearest wall, Gamaken jumped from his location as the 10-headed beast split off one of its heads and went after the giant toad. So that's the center of the jutsu. Chikishim, Animal Path, Pain thought. Were we able to lose it? Jiraiya asked, that should buy us some time. He stated, seconds after finishing the statement, one of the single-headed beasts lunged at Gamaken, the giant toad narrowly dodging the attack, or not. Gamaken turned to face the summoning beast, the 9-headed beast soon joining it. "We're surrounded already," Jiraiya exclaimed, "incoming. And they're going to split up again." The single-headed dog-like summoning beast charged at Gamaken, the 9-headed beast jumping up and splitting into 9 as they lunged at Gamaken as well. Said giant toad twirled his Sasamata, effectively blocking the incoming dog-like beasts. "Above you," Jiraiya yelled, noticing one of the summoning beasts attacking from behind Gamaken. The giant toad jumped from his previous location, the 10 summoning beasts giving chase. CrimsonKyuubiSage, dormitory. The sigh escaped Ruby's lips as she worked on her homework, her thoughts preoccupied by a certain blonde-haired fox Faunus. Specifically the events that happened before Naruto and the rest of Team RHFN, Archfiend, were forced into hiding. "What's got you so down, sis?" Yang asked. "Nothing," Ruby shortly replied. "She's right, something's definitely bothering you, you aren't as peppy as usual," Weiss commented, noticing the usually cheerful girl's lack of, well, cheerfulness. "Thinking about a certain foxy blonde?" Yang teased, Ruby's face turning red in embarrassment. "No." She quickly denied, the quiet but noticeable sound of giggling from the girl's sister being the response. "Something happened between you two. The blush on your face when I mentioned Naruto is a deeper shade than the usual," Yang stated, having beepized her sister's expression. "No, this tells me something happened between you and Naruto before he left. Something romantic." She continued, Ruby beginning to sweat slightly at this tactical side of her sister, whilst Weiss and Blake could only stare at the female blonde in surprise at her beepisis of the situation. "You two kissed?" Yang exclaimed, a grin plastered on her face as Ruby's blush became an even deeper shade. "How did you find out?" Ruby stuttered out. "You left your diary unlocked yesterday and I sorta read it," Yang said, holding her sister's diary in her hands with a sheepish look on her face, causing the 3 occupants of the room to face a fault. "Yang?" Ruby exclaimed, quickly snatching the item from her sister's hands. "I'm not actually surprised, what with the way you two interacted," Blake commented. "Yeah, the night Naruto left I kissed him and made him promise to come back," Ruby shyly admitted. "Cheek or lips?" Yang asked. "Lips," Ruby replied. "Tongue?" Yang inquired, causing Ruby's face to begin to emit a faint red glow from embarrassment. "No." Ruby quickly replied, causing her 3 teammates to giggle. Yang because her sister was so easy to tease, and Blake and Weiss because of the blonde girl's question. "So when do you think they'll be back?" Ruby asked, trying to change the subject, her super blush having leveled out into a small blush. "I don't know, hopefully soon though," Yang said. "It will be." Weiss replied, "After all, they'll have to be present for the upcoming Vital Festival." A Megacur. Amakin slumped to the ground in exhaustion, having momentarily escaped the onslaught of those strange dog-like summoning beasts. "There's no end to this," Jiraiya stated. "I am trying my best," Gamaken said. "If they keep dividing, no matter how hard we strike them, it's a waste of our energy," Jiraiya exclaimed. Suddenly, the sound of growling was heard to his left. Turning to the source of the sound, Jiraiya saw the dog-like summoning beast that was pursuing them split into 10 single-headed beasts. "Here already? Damn persistent dogs," Jiraiya said. The giant dogs lunged at Gamaken, but before they could reach the giant toad, Jiraiya jumped to defend the giant toad, using his hair and feet to strike the dogs. "Stupid little," he yelled. "Are you alright?" Jiraiya asked, but got his answer as he saw Gamaken being bit in various places by 5 of the dog-like summons. The giant toad knocked one of the dogs off of him only for that same summoning beast to pull away his Sasamata. "Gamaken-san," Jiraiya exclaimed. "I really am clumsy," Gamaken said before collapsing on the ground, various cuts and bruises scattered along his body. Jiraiya jumped onto Gamaken's head as he released his hands. "If you can't move, Gamaken-san, then there's no time to summon the 2 great sages. I give up," Jiraiya said nonchalantly, "but I'm amazed there's so many of them," he stated before laughing, his facial expression being replaced with by his usual self-proclamation arrogance face, "but against the great toad of Mount Mamboku, you're all nothing but a small snack," he proclaimed, throwing his hand down as a summoning seal appeared as all 10 of the dog-like summons were digested by a room of toad guts, causing them to dispel. Seeing as his summoning beast was dispelled, Chikishim, Animal Path Pain and the chameleon summoning beast appeared. "On along with the dogs. So he's escaped for now," Chikishim, Animal Path Pain said. "I haven't escaped. Nagato, you're still a novice. Leaving your back open for an attack," Jiraiya exclaimed, Gamaken thrusting his Sasamata forward, catching the chameleon in the forked part before dispelling in a puff of smoke. "You're Kage Bunshin, Shadow Clone," Jiraiya questioned. "Yes, but that's not all," Chikishim, Animal Path Pain said, at the same time Kuchius no Jutsu, summoning technique, he exclaimed, summoning a giant bird with a drill-like beak. "Damn it," Jiraiya yelled as the giant bird came closer and closer. It's no good, Jiraiya thought before Gamaken was pushed back as the drill-like beak impacted against Gamaken's shield. Gamaken-san. He yelled, having jumped off the giant toad before the impact against the ground. Jiraiya began to comically run as the drill beak bird chased after him, laying a bunch of eggs in the process as the bird pulled up. What? Jiraiya said, seeing as how the bird didn't smash against him, instead laying a bunch of weird eggs and pulling up away from the super pervert. The eggs began to emit a strange glow before exploding as Jiraiya narrowly dodged each explosion. Whoa. He exclaimed as the egg nearest to his body exploded, sending him to the ceiling as he stuck to it via chakra. Exiting the tunnel he was in, Jiraiya headed up as the bird flew after him, laying more explosive eggs in the process. Yes. Jiraiya exclaimed as he saw a nearby usable escape route. Climbing through the small tunnel, Jiraiya was able to escape the giant bird as it could not fit. After 3 or so attempts at pursuing the super pervert, the giant bird flew off to meet the man at the other side of the tunnel. You're relieved from duty. Jiraiya said, having reached the other end of the tunnel to find the giant bird blocking his path, the Jiraiya in front of the bird dispelling in a puff of smoke, revealing it was a Kage Bunshin, shadow clone. The real Jiraiya took a deep breath before shooting a ball of fire at the giant bird, effectively making the giant summoning beast dispel. I did it. Jiraiya exclaimed, before noticing a giant seal array spread over the wall behind him. Huh. Was all he could say before the wall exploded, revealing a giant rhino when the smoke cleared. It's one thing after another, but I'm almost there. Jiraiya thought, so I can't quit now, but incoming. Finishing his mental ranting, the giant rhino started to move away from Jiraiya. After getting some distance between the man and the giant rhino, said summoning beast turned around and charged at Jiraiya. Wah, so fast. Jiraiya exclaimed. Before the giant rhino could slam against the super pervert, Gamaken appeared, using his Sasamata to smash the rhino's head into the ground. Sorry I'm late. Jiraiya said, the giant rhino dispelling itself after the super pervert finished his sentence, causing Gamaken to fall down onto the floor. This Jiraiya dispelled, revealing it to be yet another Kage Bunshin, shadow clone. Good work. The original Jiraiya said. Gamaken, having hit the floor hard, lied down on his back panting in exhaustion. I want to attack the caster, but I need to be able to see him. Jiraiya said, don't you think something is strange, Gamaken-san? I am too clumsy to understand what you mean. Gamaken said. He who possessed the same pupils as the Rikido Sennin, sage of 6 paths, not only mastered every jutsu I taught him, he demonstrated the ability to achieve all 6 changes in chakra nature. For a single person to do so is unheard of. He was well versed in all the mainstream ninjutsu and mastered them by the time he was 10 years old. Jiraiya stated. But why? Why is he only using the Kuchius no Jutsu, summoning technique, against me? He thought, a bull-like summoning beast appearing in front of him, does he think I am beneath the need for direct confrontation? Jiraiya mentally questioned. Seconds later, the giant bull charged at Jiraiya. Gamaken-san. You've done enough. I've got it from here, go home. Jiraiya yelled. Alright. Thanks. Gamaken said before dispelling in a poof of smoke. Mount Mamboku. Naruto was meditating, having progressed quite a bit in his senjutsu training. Suddenly, the sound of a poof of smoke broke his concentration. Looking up, the blonde fox Frana saw a giant red toad appear with multiple cuts and bruises on his body. Gamaken. Where have you been? Pa exclaimed, seeing the injuries the giant toad sustained. Jiraiya summoned me to aid in his fight against this guy named Pain. Gamaken said. Suddenly, both Ma and Pa felt a tug in their chakra. It seems we're being summoned. Ma said. Jiraiya was gathering up chakra to summon both of you before I left. Gamaken stated. So he's going to do that? Pa vaguely said. Moments later, the couple disappeared in a poof of smoke. A megacur. After sending Gamaken back to Mount Mamboku, the giant bull slammed against Jiraiya before slamming the super pervert into a nearby wall. Seconds later, an explosion sent the giant bull flying before being dispelled in midair. Lad. Why do you always summon us in such touchy situations like this? Ma yelled, it's no wonder Bunta gets so mad. Come on, Ma. Naturally, Jiraiya boy has his reasons. Pa said. You be quiet, Pa. Ma yelled. It's been a while, and I do apologize for calling you under these circumstances, boss, ma'am. Jiraiya said. But lad, I thought you said you hated that form, saying it would make you unpopular with the ladies. Pa stated. I can't afford to be particular right now. After all, my foe has the Rinnegan. Jiraiya said. Ah, the Rinnegan, Ma questioned in shock. Someone actually possesses such an eye? Well then, you had no choice. Pa said, you gotta start being able to go into sage mode by yourself, Jiraiya boy. Compared to you, I'm still a novice. Jiraiya said, so please lend me your aid for just a little while, shall we begin? He asked, jumping out of the hole the giant bull pushed him in. He went though all that just to summon those two toads. Chikishim, animal path pain mentally questioned, no, there's a transformation going on in sensei himself. Humph, whether it's Orochimaru or Jiraiya, the Sannin each have unique powers. And? Where is the one with the Rinnegan? Pa asked. Your eyes must be degrading with age. Ma said. No. He's hidden himself inside a summoning creature that can make itself invisible. Jiraiya stated. It's gotta be one of them chameleon species. Ma stated. I have erected a probe barrier. Jiraiya said. That won't do any good. Let's drag them out using Zesenbaku, creature detection technique. Ma exclaimed as she formed a hand sign. Ma, don't get so excited, you'll get more wrinkles. Pa said. Just hush up, Pa. Ma said. But why go so far as to summon us to fight this fellow, Jiraiya boy? Pa asked. He happens to be a former student of mine, Jiraiya explained. We never knew you had one. Then is he? Pa asked. Yes. Jiraiya said, remembering the prophecy the great Lord Elder Toad, Gamamaru, spoke of. The child of prophecy? Then why are you fighting him? Ma asked. It seems he did not grow up in the right direction. And when I heard he had died, I thought he couldn't have been the one. Jiraiya answered. In any case, if he is not righteous, you must kill him. Pa said. Well, that senile old man probably made up that prophecy. Don't worry about it. Ma said, alright, let's do it. She exclaimed as she used the Zesenbaku, fighting tongue bind. Found him. She said after a few seconds before the tongue was sent off to its intended target. It's fast. Chikishim, animal path, pain exclaimed quietly, seeing the Zesenbaku, creature detection technique. Gotcha. Ma exclaimed as her tongue wrapped around the giant chameleon and coated it in a yellow liquid, there we go. She said as she slammed the beast into the ground, Pa. I'm on it. Pa said as a torrent of water shot out of his mouth and sliced the giant chameleon in half, causing it to dispel. That's the Rinnegan. It certainly looks like TH1 mentioned in the legend. Ma said, the smoke clearing to reveal the Chikishim, animal path, pain standing where the giant chameleon was. What nasty eyes, I can't believe he's that child of prophecy. Pa said. Great Lord Elder, I wonder if this is that moment of selection. Jiraiya thought. Fuchius no Jutsu, summoning technique. Chikishim, animal path, pain said as two more people with similar Akatsuki cloaks, orange hair color, and Rinnegan eyes appeared. This time he summoned humans. Jiraiya thought, you turned out to be a harbinger of destruction. So as your mentor, it is my duty to take you down. He exclaimed. 3 of them? What's going on? How could there be 3 Rinnegans, he thought. It must be his jutsu, there's some trick to it. Just when I was busy preparing dinner, Ma complained. Ma, never mind that. Just focus on the opponent before us. Pa said. What did you say? Ma yelled. I guess it's about time I made my move. Jiraiya exclaimed before starting his usual dance, from this moment on, let the senjutsu prevail. Look above, upon the halos and heavenly canopies. Jiraiya the gallant he started, but was cut off by 2 small fists to the face. Quit yakking in my ears. Both Ma and Pa yelled at the same time. Ugh. Jiraiya groaned out, my posturing keeps getting interrupted today, he thought. Let's end this quickly and go home. Ma said, I have to get dinner ready. Ma, that guy's eye is more important than dinner. Stay alert. It's the ultimate jutsu. Pa yelled. Like I care. Don't you dare belittle a housewife's dilemma of what to cook every day, you old geezer. Ma yelled back. How dare you use such a tone against me? I was just looking after you. Pa countered. Don't give me that. Ma yelled. Before long the couple was arguing with Jiraiya, unfortunately stuck in the middle. Who are the ones yakking into whose ears again? Jiraiya thought with a deadpan look on his face. Before the couple could argue any further, Ninjin, human path, pain launched at Jiraiya, but was knocked back by Jiraiya's foot. Not bad, Chikishim, animal path, pain said. Now then, can we put your spousal differences aside and get this here over with? Jiraiya said. Humph, guess I'll just fry up something. Ma complied before forming a hand sign, boy, you provide the oil. Pa, you bring the futon, wind release. Yes ma'am. Jiraiya said, all 3 of them taking a sharp inhale, senpu. Gomen, sage art. Bath of boiling oil. He called out. The collaboration jutsu was absorbed by Gakkuden, pre-top path, pain's kenjutsu kitchen, blocking technique absorption seal. Did it work? Ma asked. The smoke cleared to reveal that the 3 Rinnegan wielders still remained uninjured. The oil vanished. Jiraiya said in shock. He ought to have been basted by it. Ma said. That one probably has tricks up his sleeve too. Pa said. Jiraiya kicked off his footwear, leaving him barefoot as his body transformed into a more toad-like body. Shall we find out with close combat? Jiraiya asked. Yes. Pa replied. As soon as Pa finished his sentence, Jiraiya lunged at the pains, forming a Rasengan in his hand. Damara Sengen, massive spiraling sphere. Jiraiya exclaimed, the jutsu was unfortunately absorbed by Gakkuden, pre-top path, Pain's Kenjutsu Kikjin, blocking technique absorption seal. He can absorb an entire jutsu, so that's what he did earlier he thought. Before he could continue his train of thought, Ninjin, human path, Pain jumped at him. Behind us. Ma yelled, Pa throwing a smoke bomb in response, effectively blinding Ninjin, human path, Pain. We got his back. Jiraiya thought as he threw a punch at Ninjin, human path, Pain, who shockingly caught his punch. What? He blocked my Sage Mode attack without looking, he mentally exclaimed as he quickly substituted himself with a toad. Senpu. Kabari Senbon, Sage Art. Hair Needle Senbon. Jiraiya exclaimed, Hair Needle shooting at Chikushim, animal path, Pain, but was blocked by a panda summoning beast. Jiraiya leapt back, seeing his surprise attack failed. Not a single wasted movement. I would have gotten him if he dodged it. Instead he blocked it by summoning without ever turning around. What's going on? Blocking my attacks not just once, but twice. With no verbal signals or eye contact between them at all. Even if all three were sensory types, they still have to see an attack coming in order to counter it. Kabari Senbon, Hair Needle Senbon, is my fastest jutsu with the widest attack range. The only way to defend oneself against it is with a shield as he just did. And he did it without looking. They're no ordinary clones. You said they have a trick up their sleeves, and you're right. Pa said. Ma questioned. Have you noticed? Pa asked. What is it? Jiraiya asked. When we got their back earlier, you picked the target and attacked from his blind spot, correct? During that time, one of the other guys was watching us the whole time. Pa explained. I noticed that too. But there were no signs that they were signaling each other either verbally or with eye contact. Jiraiya pointed out. That's it. It's their eyes, all three have the same eyes. Pa said, suppose the three of them can share what they see with each other. Enabling their eyes to share images with one another. Jiraiya finished, is that it? Yes. That's what I suspect. Still, what incarnation are they? Pa asked, the three Pains producing black rods in their right hands. This is bad, under these circumstances where my ninjutsu are being nullified, to face all three at once is a bit too much. At this rate, if I enter battle, I'll be killed, even in Sage Mode. I never imagined they would be this strong, Jiraiya thought. Fall back for now, Jiraiya boy. Pa said. Yes, sir. Jiraiya complied, disappearing in a puff of smoke. These escaped into the pipes, Chikushim, animal path, Pain said. Why are we running away? Ma asked. We must bepize the 6 paths and come up with a strategy. And we'll need some time for that. Pa replied, they may look different, but all possess the same eye. In short, they all have the Rinnegan of 6 paths. Even if one of them is Nagato, I can't believe there would be so many Rinnegan users crawling around. Jiraiya said, so what in the world's going on? Which one is the real Pain? Figuring out the main one isn't the problem. The real problem is the fact that 3 of them possess the Rinnegan of 6 paths. Pa stated. Just who, and what is Pain? Jiraiya asked. We don't know that yet. But we can make a small deduction. Their vision is linked and they share images. That's the ability those eyes hold. Pa said. Which means what, then? And how is it an advantage? Ma asked. But simply, in the same way that 3 security cameras show different angles of the same image, those 3 are able to see 3 views at one time. So if just one of them can see the target, the other 2 can counter with the ideal attack, with perfect timing, without having to see their foe. Pa said, in other words, their field of vision is 3 times better. And unlike the Byakugan, they can always guard each other's blind spots without weaving signs or manipulating chakra. No wonder their combination is invincible. Ma stated. Which means we have to split them up and fight each one separately. I'm positive I can win one-on-one. Since they possess such eyes, fighting as a team would have to be their basic mode of attack. Jiraiya said, Taijutsu isn't going to work and any ninjutsu will just be absorbed. If Taijutsu and ninjutsu won't work, then it'll have to be Genjutsu. Pa said. Yes. Ma agreed. But I'm a dud when it comes to Genjutsu. Jiraiya stated, but as I recall you two were. Yes, if they're former students of yours, Jiraiya boy, they know that you don't use Genjutsu. So that might give us an opening. Pa said. No way. I'm not gonna do it. Ma yelled. What is it, world peace is hanging on this battle, Ma. This is no time to be selfish. Pa yelled back. I don't care about no old geezer's senile prophecies. Ma yelled back. The great Lord Elder told us to get along, remember, Pa yelled. What is it that you object to so much? Jiraiya asked. I can't sing a duet with Pa at this plump ripe old age. Ma said, embarrassed, it's embarrassing. A duet, Jiraiya questioned. Our most powerful Genjutsu involves appealing to the auditory senses of the victim through song. Pa explained. Auditory senses. I see. That's why we retreated. Jiraiya said. Correct, this genjutsu is powerful, but as soon as we make a sound, our whereabouts will be revealed, which is its weakness. Pa stated, also, there's the harmony of the sounds. In other words, the genjutsu is placed with a melody. It requires a little time before it takes effect. If they discover our whereabouts before they are caught in the genjutsu and attack, we will surely lose. However, once they are caught in the genjutsu, our victory will be assured. The Elder Toad finished, the trio happening upon a fork in the tunnel. What's wrong? Pa asked, seeing Jiraiya's movement, T momentarily halted. If both your lives are ever in danger, I want you to free yourselves from my shoulders immediately. Jiraiya said. Huh? Absolutely not. Pa exclaimed, the fate of the ninja world depends on this battle. I have a plan. Although it is a gamble as well, Jiraiya stated. Do tell. Pa said. Please begin, Jiraiya said, having explained his plan to the two Elder Toads. Right. Both Ma and Pa replied at the same time, beginning the Majin. Gamarinshim, demonic illusion. Toad confrontation chant, causing the three pains to stop in their tracks. What is that? Chikishim, animal path pain asked, this is the croaking of frogs, is this a genjutsu? He asked before noticing the direction the sound came from, it's coming from in there. He said as the trio went in pursuit. After finding Jiraiya in front of them, Ma and Pa casting the genjutsu, Gakiden, pre-top path, Pain noticed the real Jiraiya hiding behind them. Bakage Bunshin, shadow clone. Gakiden, pre-top path, Pain thought in surprise. Pain. Dienden, fire release. Big flame bullet. Jiraiya exclaimed as he shot out a giant fireball. Like last time though, Gakiden, pre-top path, Pain's Kenjutsu Kikjin, blocking technique absorption seal, absorbed the attack. So that's your move. Gakiden, pre-top path, Pain thought. Good. My gamble's a success. Jiraiya thought, that big one went after the jutsu to absorb it. The first fellow only used summoning, well both times, it was the big fellow who absorbed my jutsu. Just as I suspected, each of them possesses only a single type of ability. Tight now, the big fellow's eyes are focused on the jutsu. One, I blinded earlier. So only one of them is looking at me. This one too. He mentally finished, firing off a fireball at the two approaching Pains, both of which dodged the attack, gotcha. He thought, ninjin, human path Pain having been caught in a wall of flesh. The dark swamp Chikishim, animal path, Pain thought before the effects of the Majin. Gamarinshim, demonic illusion. Toad confrontation chant began to take a toll on him. Just a little more. Pa thought. Now we're really one-on-one. Jiraiya said as he kicked Chikishim, animal path, Pain in the chest, I'm not letting you summon. He exclaimed, all three Pains finally being trapped in the genjutsu. You got us Chikishim, animal path, Pain said. You are inside a genjutsu paralysis that binds your psyche. Now none of your bodies, including your main body, will be able to move. Jiraiya said. Jiraiya-sensei, I didn't expect a genjutsu like this from you. Chikishim, animal path, Pain stated. I thought I taught you never let your guard down, no matter who your opponent is, Nagato. Jiraiya said, you erred in your decision. Rather than rule the world through pain, I wish you had moved past the pain and harnessed your power to bring about peace in a positive way. For just a little while, I believed you were the one. Farewell, he said. After finishing his sentence, Jiraiya stabbed a stone sword though Chikishim, animal path Pain, killing the student he once knew, doing the same to the two other Pains. It's done, Jiraiya said, both Ma and Pa coughing shortly after, are you both alright? This genjutsu is hard on the throat. Pa explained. It's real hard keeping tempo with Pa, this jutsu ain't that easy at all. Ma exclaimed as Jiraiya started walking away from the dead Pains, damages the throat. Stretches the lower jaw till it sags. Creates wrinkles. My profound apologies. Please take your rest now. For I've made my selection. Jiraiya said, before sharply gasping. Didn't you teach me to never let down your guard, Jiraiya-sensei? A new voice asked. Turning around, Jiraiya saw Shurim, Asura path, Pain standing behind him. Not a second later, Jiraiya was sent flying from an explosion. Lad. Your left arm. Ma exclaimed, seeing Jiraiya was now missing his left arm. I'm aware of that, Jiraiya said. What's going on? Pa asked. This one's got a different face than the other three. He was probably summoned earlier. Jiraiya stated. I see. Before they got caught in our genjutsu. Pa said. Now then. Another voice, Jigakiden, Naraka path Pain, said, 6 figures jumping out of the tunnel, landing to face Jiraiya. In attendance the Pain Rikiden, 6 paths of pain. A second voice, 10, Diva path Pain, proclaimed. 6, there are 6 of them, Pa asked in shock. Hey, look close. The 3 we just did in are there too. Ma exclaimed. The newly summoned ones must have resurrected them with some sort of jutsu. Pa said. There's even a jutsu that can revive as many as 3 of them when they were undoubtedly dead. Are they really human? Ma asked. Pain, what are you? Jiraiya mumbled. Pain, that name is an alias that denotes all 6 of us. 10, Diva Path, Pain said. Why are there 6 Rinnegan bearers? Jiraiya asked before his eyes widened in shock. You're Hokage, Fire Shadow, Tower, Konohagakure. There's no end to this awful rain, Tsunade said, observing the rain falling non-stop as she thought back on her last conversation with Jiraiya. I'm sure Jiraiya-sama is fine. He, of all people, wouldn't. Shizune started. He's not coming back. Tsunade said. Huh? Shizune asked. That's what I bet him. Tsunade answered, turning to her apprentice, a smile on her face, and I never win my bets. Oh, I see. Shizune said before walking away, closing the door behind her. What a poser, Tsunade mumbled as she thought about the super pervert. When he gets back, I won't let him keep his cool. The Megakure. That face, is that you, Yahiko? Jiraiya thought in shock, what's going on? I thought you said Yahiko died. He asked, plus, those eyes. You see Yahiko's image in me? You really are his former teacher. 10, Diva Path, Pain said, but Yahiko has been dead for quite some time. All that remains is pain. Quit it with the wordplay. Why do you possess the Rinnegan? Jiraiya questioned. What are you talking about, Jiraiya boy? Pa asked. One of my former students is among them. Except he didn't use to possess those eyes, Jiraiya explained. What in tarnation is going on? Ma asked, you saying there are 2 children of prophecy? No, that's not it either. When I saw the Rinnegan, I convinced myself that the first one was Nagato, but he's subtly different from the Nagato I knew of. Jiraiya thought, come to think of it, upon closer inspection, none of those 6 remind me of Nagato. On the other hand, one of them resembles Yahiko, but possesses Nagato's Rinnegan. Are you Yahiko or Nagato? He mentally asked himself. Just what exactly are you? We are Pain, we are God. 10, Diva Path, Pain said. After finishing his statement, all 6 Pains leapt at Jiraiya. Retreat, Jiraiya boy. Pa yelled. Jiraiya, ignoring the Elder Toad, defended himself with Taijutsu from the incoming attacks. The god, Jiraiya thought as he threw a punch at 10, Diva Path, Pain, said person catching the punch. Yahiko. How could you possess Nagato's eyes? Even if you knew that, you could not win. 10, Diva Path, Pain stated as he threw his former sensei. Whilst Jiraiya was in midair, Shuriken, Asura Path, Pain formed 8 small missiles from his hand that shot at Jiraiya, said super pervert, narrowly dodging the attacks. Lad. Give it up already. Ma cried out. I must find an opening to defeat them, even if it kills me. Jiraiya said. 10, Diva Path, Pain threw his hand out, causing part of the wall nearest to Jiraiya to shoot out at his former sensei. Seconds later, the recently revived Chikishin, Animal Path, Pain was dragged underwater. The 5 other Pains just looked at the spot where their 6th member disappeared. I don't sense his presence, 10, Diva Path, Pain said. Meanwhile, with Chikishin, Animal Path, Pain, said person found himself inside a stomach-like area. This is a barrier? Chikishin, Animal Path, Pain questioned. Seconds later the platform he was on broke, causing him to jump away. Gastric fluid? He asked. An elongated tongue suddenly wrapped around a nearby pole as Jiraiya came out, a Rasengan, spiraling sphere, in his right hand. Rasengan, spiraling sphere. He called out as said attack hit Chikishin, Animal Path, Pain, knocking him into the pool of gastric fluid below. You did it, Jiraiya boy. Pa called out, but was proven wrong as Chikishin, Animal Path, Pain jumped out of the gastric fluid, a black rod extending from his body that pierced through Jiraiya's remaining hand and his right shoulder before slumping over unmoving. Is he dead? Ma asked. I barely managed to kill one only after dragging it into my barrier, Jiraiya said before coughing up a small amount of blood. Are you alright, lad? Ma asked. Somewhat, he replied as he broke the black rod in between his shoulder and wrist. My body, my chakras agitated. Is it this? Pa asked, pulling out the black rod from Jiraiya's shoulder. Their identity is a mystery, and they seem to use odd weapons too. They're no longer mortals, they're something entirely different. Ma said as Jiraiya got the rod stuck in his wrist out. That face, he is unmistakably Yahiko, and yet, he possesses Nagato's Rinnegan. Did Yukiko steal them from Nagato for some reason? But there are other Rinnegan bearers as well, so what's going on? Plus, Jiraiya thought, remembering a conversation he had with Nagato once. In which case, does that mean he is Nagato? He mumbled as Chikishin, Animal Path, Pain/Tame headband fell to the ground, causing Jiraiya's eyes to widen in shock at seeing a scar on the forehead of the deceased body. That's right. Now I remember. This one is definitely not Nagato. What's the matter? Pa asked. This fellow before us, I've fought him before. Jiraiya said, he was a Fuma clan member I encountered right after setting out on my journey, following the Great Lord Elder's prophecy. I gave him that scar on his forehead. So what's a fellow like him doing here? Ma asked. Now I'm even more confused about this whole pain mystery. Pa said. It can't be if this is the prophecy, Jiraiya thought. I wish to go back and face them in order to confirm something, you two please go back. He said. What? Ma exclaimed. Absolutely not. You will be killed if you go out again. They have more eyes and they will not fall for the barrier trap twice. They're not onto us in here yet. This is our only chance to make a run for it. Pa exclaimed. I may be killed if I go out there, but I may be able to learn the truth about them. Jiraiya said, if I let this chance slip by, I don't think there's anyone else who could get as close to pain. This is our only chance to uncover the truth. Plus this is the time for selection that the great Lord Elder prophesied. Boss and ma'am, please take intel on pain we've gathered so far, as well as this corpse and go back. And please tell Tsunade. Ma should be enough for that. Pa said. But Jiraiya said. Just return by dinner time. Ma stated. Yup, when we're done here, I'll bring Jiraiya boy on over with me, it has been a while since he's seen Naruto face to face. Pa stated, Ma nodding her head. Thank you, Jiraiya said. Seconds later Ma disappeared in a poof of smoke. Mount Mamboku. After Ma disappeared from Jiraiya's shoulder in a poof of smoke, she soon appeared at Mount Mamboku. Ma. What's happening? Where did you disappear to? Naruto asked. Jiraiya summoned us to help him fight a former student of his. Ma answered. Wait, he had students before me? Naruto questioned. 4 in fact. 3 were war orphans that were rumored dead, but I'm not sure that's true considering who we've been fighting just before, and then your father, Naruto. Ma replied before her expression turned serious, prepare a medical treatment area, now. Jiraiya lost his left arm fighting this Pain person and will need extensive medical treatment. She commanded, and get Tsunade here. Yes ma'am. Was the chorus of reply the toads gave, Gamakichi disappearing in a poof of smoke, most likely to get Tsunade, while the rest of the toads got a medical tent ready. Naruto boy, come here. Ma said, Naruto complying with the elder toad, I need you to lend me some of your chakra, I don't have enough to do the Gyakko no Jutsu, reverse summoning technique. Naruto could only nod his head as he gave his chakra to Ma as she prepared the Gyakko no Jutsu, reverse summoning technique. The Megacur. After Ma was sent back to Mount Mamboku, the toad Jiraiya and Pa were currently in release them. Swimming up to the surface, Pa summoned a Fma shuriken and threw it at Shuriken, Asura path Pain, said Pain dodged the attack, the 5 remaining Pains began to surround Jiraiya. It's just as I thought. Jiraiya thought as he took a better look at the 5 Pains, each resembling a person he had encountered previously in his life, they're all ninjas that I've encountered before. That's it. I've figured out who Pain is. Before he could continue his thought, 4 of the Pains lunged at him, the 5th, Shuriken, Asura path Pain, jumped from underneath him, damaging his throat. My throat? He thought in surprise. Jiraiya boy. Pa cried out. You were too late in figuring it out. 10, the path, Pain said as he and the 3 other Pains stabbed black rods through Jiraiya's body. Before they could do any more damage, the man, along with Pa, disappeared in a poof of smoke. Hagakure. Tsunade continued to stare out of the window in the Hokage, Fire Shadow, tower, watching the rain fall to the ground. Her fixation with the rain was shortly interrupted by the sound of a poof. Turning around, Tsunade saw one of the toads, Gamakichi if she remembered correctly, standing in front of her. Gamakichi? What are you doing here? Tsunade asked. Jiraiya's been critically injured, according to Ma, so she sent me here to bring you to Mount Mamboku to help with Jiraiya's injuries. Gamakichi quickly replied, causing Tsunade to gasp in shock. What's the extent of his injuries? She asked. I don't know, you'll have to ask Ma when we get there. Gamakichi said, alright, let's make this quick, hold on to me. The toad ordered, Tsunade complied and held onto Gamakichi as the giant toad performed hand signs, Gyakko no Jutsu, reverse summoning technique. Gamakichi called out as a large puff of smoke enveloped the two. When the smoke cleared, both Gamakichi and Tsunade were gone. Mount Mamboku. Gyakko no Jutsu, reverse summoning technique. Ma exclaimed as she summoned both Jiraiya and Pa with the help of Naruto's chakra, oh dear Kami. She cried out as she saw the injured form of Jiraiya. 5 black rods protruded from his back, blood seeped out of his mouth and throat, and his left arm was missing up to his elbow. I must let boss know about Pain's true identity, Jiraiya thought. Hang in there, Jiraiya boy. Pa cried out, Jiraiya barely hearing the elder toad. Hiro Senin. Naruto exclaimed in worry, seeing the state his mentor was in. Lifting him up, Naruto quickly rushed Jiraiya into the makeshift medical tent the toad set up. Naruto? A feminine voice called out. Turning to the location of the sound, Naruto saw Tsunade standing next to Gamakichi. Ah-chan. You got to help. Quickly, this way. Naruto yelled, motioning to the makeshift medical tent. Oh my Kami. What happened to Jiraiya? Tsunade exclaimed as she saw the state her teammate was in. He was fighting these people named Pain, 6 of them, and they all had the Rinnegan. Pa answered, causing Tsunade to momentarily pause. The blonde busty Hokage, Fire Shadow, had heard the legend about the Rinnegan, but there was no proof of this Taijutsu existing. At least, not before today that is. It's no good, my throat has been crushed. Jiraiya thought, damn it, at this rate. Setting Jiraiya down on the medical table, Tsunade's hands were enveloped in a light green glow as she began to use her medical knowledge to save her last remaining living teammate. It's useless, I'm passing out, Jiraiya thought. Naruto, Pa, Ma, and Gamakichi at his side as Tsunade continued healing her teammate. Am I going to die? Have I failed? He mentally questioned himself. It's not how you live, but how you die in the shinobi world. A ninja's life is not measured by how they lived, but rather what they managed to accomplish before their death. Looking back, my life has been nothing but failures, continually rejected by Tsunade, unable to stop my friend, and unable to protect either my student or my mentor. Compared to the great deeds of the Hokage, Fire Shadow, my actions are trifling, insignificant things indeed. I wish I could have died like each of the Hokage, Fire Shadow. The tale is only good as its final turn of events, the plot twist. He thought, failures must be seen as mere amusements. They are trials, which hone your skills. I lived believing that. And in return, I swore I would accomplish a deed so great that it would obliterate all of my failures and I'd die a splendid ninja. At least, that's how it was supposed to go. He mentally continued, but, with my plot twist, my tale, ending like this, the great Lord Elder prophesies that I would guide that revolutionary, a person who will make a great choice that will bring either stability or destruction to the shinobi world. I thought I would defeat Pain, stop the Akatsuki, and save the shinobi world from destruction. But in the end, I failed in that selection too. How pitiful that this will be the twist to the tale of Jiraiya the Gallant. What a worthless story, he thought as Tsunade continued doing her best to save him, having pulled the last of the black rods out of his back and flipped him over so he was laying on his back. Flashback start. No, I don't think so. This tale is wonderful. A tall blonde-haired man said. This man was Minato Namikaze, Yellow Flash of Konoha. Each chapter reads like one of your numerous legendary exploits. It's almost like an autobiography. He said as Jiraiya sat down in the chair opposite to his student, the main character of this book. I thought his determination to never give up was really cool. He's a lot like you, sensei. You think so? Jiraiya asked. So I was thinking. Minato started. Huh? Jiraiya questioned. I really hope my unborn child can become a ninja just like this main character. Minato said, which is why I'd like you permission to name my son after him. Hey. Are you sure? It's just a random name that I thought up while eating ramen. Jiraiya said. Naruto, a feminine voice said. Heading into the dining room was Minato's wife, Kushina Uzumaki. She had red hair like most Uzumakas did, and her abdominal region was larger than normal, indicating that she was pregnant. It's a wonderful name. She said, nodding her head in approval. Kushina. Jiraiya said, cripes, so that makes me his godfather. Are you really sure about this? He asked with a small chuckle. You're my sensei. And you are a great ninja who possesses the true talent of a ninja. There's no other like you. Minato said. Flashback end. Yes, that's right. I gave that child, Jiraiya thought. Naruto, now that I think about it, Naruto, you are just like that novel's main character. You've inherited Minato and Kushina's wishes, their hopes. And yet I never go back on your word and never give up. Naruto, if that is your ninja way, then as your mentor, I have no business whining. He finished. Tsunade began to heal Jiraiya's throat injury, but was stopped by Jiraiya's right hand holding hers, the blonde Hokage, Fire Shadow, getting tears in her eyes. For everyone knows that a student inherits his ninja way from his teacher. Isn't that so, Naruto? He thought as he tried to stand up. He fought his way back by sheer will. Pa thought, Jiraiya boy. The elder toad cried out. Jiraiya gave Pa a look, causing the elder toad to nod his head. Got it. He yelled, throwing off his cloak and put his back in front of Jiraiya. Jiraiya lifted his hand, his finger lighting up with blue chakra as he used the Shikoku Fukin, finger carving seal, on Pa's back. Never give up, that was the true choice I was supposed to make. Jiraiya thought as he began to carve a message onto Pa's back, causing pain to the elder toad in the process. Alright. Message received. Pa exclaimed, a hidden message carved on his back that read 9, 31, 8, 106, 7, 207, 15. The dying message? Naruto asked. He wrote it in code. Gamakichi pointed out. Naruto, you are the child of prophecy, I'm sure of it now. I entrust you with the rest. Jiraiya thought as he felt his life slipping away from him, his vision becoming blurred as the cries of Jiraiya from those around him and concern became quieter and quieter. The tale of Jiraiya the Gallant, now it'll end a bit better, I hope. The final chapter will be, the frog in the well drifts into the great ocean. He thought, before mentally laughing, not bad at all now, it's about time I put down my pen. Ah, that's right. What should I name the sequel? Let's see, The Tale of Naruto Uzumaki. Yeah, that has a nice ring to it. He mentally finished as he closed his eyes for the last time, a small smile on his face. Tsunade, Naruto, Gamakichi, Ma, Pa, and all the other toads present could only cry at the death of the Toad Sage. Chapter end. Alright, that's it for today's video guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Peace out.